is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Here we go, OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, up on TSN 2. Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado, Jonas Siegel, all in studio, all feeling good this afternoon.
What's up, boys? I was a little surprised JP didn't come in with a little crazy train today.
Yes, R.I.P. Ozzy.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne passing away at the age of 76. And was really suffering by the end of his life, but one of those guys, I think it's kind of a borderline miracle he got to 76.
Dude, it feels like he's been 76 for 15 years.
Right.
Like Ozzy Osbourne at 50 was probably like a 76-year-old. He's probably like realistically 101.
Yes, he's lived like in dog years.
Yes.
Like 500 years.
Yeah.
Because like the Osbournes, the reality show, and that was one of the true originals. Like that'd be a great list of like the different avenues of like the initial kind of reality shows, and there was that one on MTV that was like
Real World.
So Real World was like the first one that I would say American Idol kind of launched this whole different genre.
Survivor for sure. Massive.
For sure.
Oh, that was
absolutely
great when it first started.
But like you got the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you got all these different things, and it was the Osbournes
and his show Family Jewels. Remember that one?
The Osbournes were first that I can remember. Like that was the first one where they were in the house, and you learn you're
like, this
to the
guy's
kids,
a goof.
and, well, you couldn't understand a word he said.
Yeah,
that was more than anything. You listen to Ozzy 25 years ago you would not have a clue what the guy was saying.
No clue.
Yeah, so he passed away. I thought you were going to say play the Major League theme song because the Jays, usually we have a rule on the show, you got to win 5 in a row. They've won 4 in a row, but they've won 11 in a row at home. So it could have been maybe a mashup of like something Ozzy and something Major League theme song because the Jays have a real mojo going right now, man. Like if you can't pick up on Blue Jay fever right now, you are just simply never going to catch it. No. And you're never going to be into it.
And coming out of the All-Star break, you're like, okay, which way is it going to go now?
4 in a row.
And then it's just, it's routine, business as usual. And then last night, the pitching matchup with Gausman on the mound, there was something about that. I know it's, late July, but that had a playoff feel to it with Kevin Gausman, the way he was kind of doing his business. And the Jays, like, Rodon was a little scattered. And the Jays eventually found a way to break through. It was just one of those nights where they just chipped away at it, and then eventually they broke through. And that is, you're right, man. It's Blue Jays fever right now. It's
incredible. They are so much fun to watch. We talked about it on the show yesterday. You just have this belief that they're going to win. And same thing last night. Stanton hits a home run. They're down 1-0, and at no point did I think they were not going to find a rally. They did in the 5th inning. They worked Rodon over like he walked 5 guys last night. That Schneider at bat that became a famous at bat, even though he didn't end up getting a hit. My dad just sent me a text like, "What an at bat!" And that was after Bichette hit that clutch double.
Yeah.
And
and did you see the reaction from Rodon after? Kind of tips his cap.
Yeah, it was like you just kept grinding.
And then they scored, and Springer in the dugout with Schneider is just like, that was all you.
Absolutely.
And that's when like the vibes are
everything's coming together.
Yeah.
Because that. Like, what happened in the 5th last night? Like, Bichette batting cleanup is significant, right?
And
like
batting like 400 with runners in scoring position. That's insane.
Literally 400 with runners in scoring position.
Is it now? Wow.
I believe it's on the nose, which I have to believe is the best number in baseball.
Yeah,
I mean, who would possibly be more clutch? And all he does is hit doubles. That's fine, and he's capable of hitting for power, and he's hit some home runs, and he'll continue to. But that double last night. But I think what was more significant for me is you talk about the fundamentals of the team. Vladdy going from first to home on a double to left field, really significant.
Big time.
Like you watch him, he takes his lead, and he took off, and he put his head down, and he's flying in the air, and there's some great pictures. I'm sure you can post them, Joe. TSN 2, like every camera in the building has different angles of him, like in the air flying.
Well, and his reaction afterward.
Absolutely. And Springer's waiting for him at home. And Vladdy, like it was such a monumental moment. And then they just continued with the rally and then the throwing error. And yeah, Gosman was phenomenal last night, and Hoffman was great last night. And look at that picture. Like that right there, if you're listening on TV, on radio, on podcast, whatever, like you know it. You saw the highlights. But Vladdy going like Superman dive into home.
Think about the
was just
difference.
An incredible look last night.
Think about the difference between that picture and what Vladdy did when he got called out at second base a couple of years ago, where he's like waving his hand around like that. And
challenge.
I think that's what is so different and so likable about this team. There's like a lunch pail mentality to it where, and we talk about it with hockey all the time, but it applies to the Blue Jays, I think, where they're bringing this blue collar attitude. And all of a sudden now the players are having fun and it's organic and it's not forced. It's not goofy and they're having success. And a guy like Vladdy, who gets paid, more than anyone, is leading the charge that way, where it was always like George Springer's got to bang the drum for the group. And then you have like the little cliques around the dugout. Everyone's just kind of, it's like they're just grinding away. And then, obviously your skill breaks through, as we're seeing with, whoever it is, Gosman or Bichette or.
That's the amazing thing. Like we were discussing it yesterday. When you look at their lineup card, like it's a lot of guys you look at.
It's last year, basically.
It's not any different.
That's what I don't understand. Did you heard Keegan yesterday mention that, like, he said something about like the vibes being different and like there's more of a, I don't know what the right word is, like supportive atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that exactly when you were talking about it. It's the same team, basically. Like, why is it so different?
Well,
that's what I don't totally
These
understand.
are the intangibles, Jonas.
Like,
you
what?
and I, we butt heads all the time, and this is a perfect example of it because there's mojo when you're winning. Like, there's confidence that comes with winning. There's a feeling of contribution. Sports is tough. Baseball is incredibly tough to go to the park every day. When you're losing all the time, it's a chore. It's got to be. It's got to be very difficult to get yourself up for every single game. When you're winning all the time, it's got to be the coolest vibe ever. Dying to get in, find out where you are in the lineup, go out and play your position, go up and try to, professional at bats and move the chain and move the line. And that's it, man. And I reference the movie Major League way too often because I know I'm dating myself. It came out in 1989.
What's a better reference you can use? I'm trying to think.
I don't think there is one because I think this is the perfect encapsulation of that Major League team. When you consider the vibes early to begin the season, and again, I know it's my favorite sports movie of all time. I think,
really,
absolutely. And baseball is the best sport for sports.
I need
movies.
to hear your top five.
I can come up with one. I'll give you one by the end of the show.
Dynamite drop-in money. That broadcast school has really paid off.
I'll tell you what. I think I'd have the sequel in there too. Major League 2 does not drop much off Major League 1. It's a brilliant sequel. But the beauty of like the beginning of that movie is the montage where you can place Blue Jay fans and people in the city and the media in the shoes of those actors in the movie where they're looking at the lineup and they're like, who the hell's Ernie Clement? Who's Miles Straw? They got Leo Jimenez playing, Lou Perfido. And early in the season, you'd hear that, and you'd be like, man, these guys stink. Like, this team is going to win 65 games. They're going to be awful. Then all of a sudden, you catch a heater like this, 11 straight home wins. You've beaten up on the Yankees now 5 times in 2 weeks at home. You're 16-5 in your last 21. And all of a sudden, you get pictures like the one we just showed where Vladdy's flying in the air, and it's like, the pendulum's completely swung. Yeah. Like now everyone's back on board. The stadium's rocking.
And it's contagious.
It's completely
the players,
contagious.
Right? Like you referenced going to the ballpark and things aren't going well. Misery loves company. One guy's having a bad year. He complains to someone else, and that just kind of like floats around the clubhouse. Whereas this, it's like, no, everyone's having fun. I got to bring a good attitude because I'm a part of this thing and I want to contribute. It's like, it can go either way, and it's like completely swung now, and this is permeating from the dugout to the clubhouse, obviously on the field now.
Big time.
I wonder, like, if you're in the front office, if you're, like, with the deadline so close, if you're like, man, should we kind of just leave this? Like, the vibes are so good. Or do we add, like, one piece, two? Like, how much do you do?
Well, this is, again, the ultimate. It's a conundrum, but it's a positive one. But it comes up all the time. Now, the Jays are not a juggernaut team in the sense of how they're actually built. Like, they are punching above their weight. They're clearly playing very well, and I think they continue to prove that this is likely going to continue, and they're going to be a very competitive team. But that is the question. Like, do you infuse talent? How do you consider the kind of the character of the room and the clubhouse and the dugout? And I think Bassett was talking about it yesterday. Like, you need guys to come in with the right attitude. They're going to fit in properly, which is a whole another level of due diligence that you have to do. Like, you can look at a spreadsheet and you can watch game tape and say, all right, this guy does this against lefties, that against righties, or this guy can play this position, or he's got speed on the bases, or whatever, or get lefties out, get righties out, pitch well against the Yankees. There's all these different things that you can look at from anyone's resume and make up your mind on how you feel about the player when the ball is in play. But you're referencing something very different, which is very important. Like, who are you going to bring in that's going to jump on the train with these guys and have immediately the same attitude that they seemingly all share?
Well, and there's like a trickle-down effect. You know this. Like, you know this as well. Like, when you bring someone else in, it's not just that player that's affected. It's like
someone's losing a job.
And then, like, how does that change your dynamic? And, like,
it's almost like it's same with hockey, where when you get the big fish at the deadline, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to have success and win a championship. But if you do the purposeful thing, like in your heart of hearts, you would know if you're in that lineup and you might not have like the spot solidified.
Right, you're not 100% locked in.
There's at least one guy that's like, I probably shouldn't be slotted here, but I am right now.
But everybody's being used right now. That's the thing.
That's it. Like tonight, Lucas is leading off. Like, they won that game last night without Barger. Like, Barger's been probably the most positive story
on the team in homers.
Yeah, and he doesn't hit lefties. They don't even put him out there against lefties for the most part. And, tonight, obviously, he's back in the lineup. He'll hit fifth. Clement moves down. Clement's going from third to second tonight. You got Will Wagner back in the lineup. He's going to play third base. Like, it's a real... There's a revolving door.
But you're so right, Hayes. Like, this is a weird example, but I'm reminded of it while you're talking about, like, intangibles and chemistry. So, like, very early, this is way back, the David Clarkson era. Mm-hmm. And you remember how it started. Did not start well. And then he comes back, and I remember this so well. And it was in Columbus. I don't know if it was like a preseason game or what game it was. And, like, he was just chatting with the reporters, and he brought up that he wasn't... I'm just trying to remember it, but I think he brought up that he wasn't happy that he wasn't on the power play. And I was like, oh, man.
Not a good start.
This is not good.
Not good.
It's like, this guy's already mad that he's not on the power play. It's like, oh, boy. This is not going to go
This is going to be an issue. Yeah, and that's it, man. Like, you've got to consider all of this. Yet, this team has proven to the general manager that they are worthy of getting help. Because that's also the opposite side of things. Like, we had John Gibbons on last week, and Gibby referenced, I think it was in 2014, where they were a pretty good team and they were in the hunt, didn't make the playoffs that year, but they chose not to do anything.
Was that the Batista said something?
Yes, and Bautista and I think Casey Jansen, maybe, they both got to the All-Star game and said, well, if we don't do anything now, like, this is basically a joke and we better go out and do something, and they didn't. So is it equally as deflating if you don't go out there and bolster this team? Personally, I look at the bullpen. Like, I know a lot of people are looking at starters. Gausman was phenomenal last night. Like, that, I think that was a statement start against the Yankees coming out of the break. Again, they've won 3 in a row. He was challenging them all night. He looked great. Hoffman's been a lot better the last month. Like, he really was pitching, like, well last night, clearly. Challenging guys, throwing heat, saying, if you can hit it, go for it, which I like that attitude and the position he's in. Rodriguez has had a really good year. But for me, I just don't know if they're going to be able to find a starter that's going to give me more confidence than what Gausman, Barrios, Bassett are going to give me. And I think you just look at the way it sets up, even with those 3 guys. No one's going 6, 7, 8 innings in the playoff start anymore. It just doesn't happen. You're looking at twice through the rotation tops, and then you're going to move it over to the bullpen. So if you can give me an arm or two and, like, elite...
You're talking like Clase
leverage,
or Bednar,
absolutely.
Like
Give me a 10 out of 10 bullpen arm that can give me 3 outs every single playoff game. I'm chasing that. That's what I'm going for, I'm all in on that.
I think the thing with the rotation is you're probably set up well for the playoffs. It's just getting there. You're still probably looking for some Scherzer insurance, just in case, because you just don't know. That feels like that could go at any time right now. And even though you are set up well for the playoffs, you just want to know that whenever that starts coming up, you have a chance to win, because when he's healthy and he's pitching well, you do. When the other guys are pitching, you do have a chance, especially if Gausman's pitching the way he did last night, where he went Talk about going after guys. He went after Judge.
Yes, he did.
He did not back down at all. He was throwing fastballs right down the middle. He reached back, hit 97 at one point.
Yeah.
Like that was
he had
that was big time stuff against Judge last night.
Big
too.
time.
But to your point, like every time you hear from Scherzer, he's like, "If my thumb holds up, if my thumb holds up."
He knows what's up. Like he is equally as concerned as everybody else.
Right.
And Eric Lauer's put a magical story. Is that going to continue? Can you get 10 more starts out of him? I don't know.
keep thinking about like a Seth Lugo type, who's I think a free agent after this year, and it's like, is he better than Gausman, Barrios?
Yeah, and it may not
Bassett?
be about that. Like if you're going to go on a deep
better
playoff
than
run,
Bassett. Yeah, maybe you
need 4 guys anyway.
Yeah, so maybe you just get someone like that.
And listen, the history of this front office would suggest they put more emphasis on the rotation. That's where they've invested money. It started with Hyunjin Ryu years ago.
But that's more off-season, right?
Tanner Roark. No, I know, but my point is when you're talking about like investing, not only money, but also what capital you're going to give up to go get guys, the way Ross Atkins and Shapiro have built their pitching collateral has been an emphasis on starters and spending on starters and trying to get as deep into the game as you possibly can. So I would not be surprised at all if that's the route they end up going down, is try to find a starter that can match the other 3, steps right in. Maybe they go with a 6-man rotation for a while to allow Scherzer a little bit more rest.
Yeah.
I think it's fitting he's going tonight. Like the Jays posted the pic of the lineup card, and like the guy looks crazy. Like he's got the 2 different colored eyes, and he's looking over his glove, and he looks like he's going to absolutely mow down the Yankees tonight.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect setup for him because of the heater that they're on, for him to contribute. Like this is the statement game for Scherzer. This is, you've invested $15 million, which for fans it doesn't matter. It's not your money. What you want out of a guy like that, a living legend of the game, is you're into a moment like tonight. You got a chance to win a series against the Yankees, night 2. You got a chance to bury the Yankees in many ways tonight. Go out there and, pitch. Look at that picture of Scherzer. Like, just send that right to Aaron Boone. Just text that to Boone and say, what do you have?
Someone put it in Judge's stall in the clubhouse.
Like he is
a big version of that.
Intense and ready to rock. And there's a huge discrepancy between maybe the largest you'd ever see in baseball. Max Scherzer against a kid named Cam Schlittler, which I'm going to mess that name up.
Good.
I know I'm going to carve that one up, and you know exactly what's coming later on.
Just call him Cam.
Scherzer versus Cam tonight.
Yeah.
Cam's second career start, I believe it is, up against Scherzer.
Dude, the thing with Scherzer, though, is you didn't bring him in for maybe not the consistency is probably not the right word, but longevity within the season. You brought him in for exactly like it's a big game against an opponent where you need someone to go in and have a moment and give you a performance where in a one game, he can do that. It's just how many 1 games does he have left? And can they hedge their bet and kind of minimize the risk of what is potentially around the corner for him? Even if he was healthy getting through camp, I think there was still going to be that worry, like, okay, is there something coming around the corner? Is a shoulder pop?
Never
going to elbow
stop
soreness? Is something flaring up? Like he's been having to deal with something, but at least like if he's available, you just want to know that he can give you 1 game where you can get some outs going.
Like repay the investment. You've had a long time off now. You just had the All-Star break. You haven't pitched in a while. Go get these guys. Like you've got a mismatch on the mound. Again, we'll see. The Jays don't know this kid, so who knows what he brings to the table. But you're going to have a raucous crowd. A lot of Yankee fans. Like there were Yankee fans there last night. They'll be there again tonight. But Dome will be open, packed house. Like Bichette was talking about it after the game. Do we have that clip? Why don't we play this? Here's Bo Bichette speaking on the Rogers Center, the Dome, the crowd, the vibes, and what's going on in Toronto.
Yeah, this is the best, this fan base I feel like has been for us since I've been in the big leagues. So, at least in regular season games. So yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, this is what I remember watching on TV when I was 17 years old at home watching, Bautista and Donaldson and all of them. So yeah, it's been, they've made it really fun to play.
All right, there you go.
It's a good show at Donaldson and Bautista.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's what people are trying to pick up on.
Give you glory days.
The 15-16 glory days.
But was it 15-16 which was the year they went all in at the deadline?
15.
Remember how much excitement that brought to the city and brought to the team? You wonder if they try to do something similar just to kind of capitalize on this and keep the.
I'd like to believe it. I just don't think the names are out there that can possibly match Price and Tulowitzki. Unless
you pull something off that's not expected.
Well, and that is possibly out there. Is it possible there's some teams that are just having down years, are willing to give up on big names, willing to punt, completely on this season and readjust where they're going to go next year? I don't know.
It would also go against what these guys do. These guys are not all-in type managers. And in the past, we've criticized them for that. But it turns out they kind of knew.
So. No, come on.
They kind of knew what they were doing. Look at the team this year. They've put themselves in a pretty good spot.
Not the reason, though, right? That's what's hard about this.
Well, it still is their team, though. They've been here for a decade. Shapiro and Atkins, you got to be fair to them. Yes, maybe this has surprised them a little bit. I would think it probably has. But this isn't someone else's work that they're getting credit
long enough.
For. They've been here a long time. This whole roster is their responsibility and their pieces.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Right. And their manager, and they kept Schneider, and obviously he's got good things going. They finally moved off the hitting coach, which should have happened years ago.
You asked this question. I think you asked this question. Does this kind of save everything for them?
I think we got to get to the end of the road.
I don't think so either, but
I think you got to close now.
Well, you got to win some playoff games.
Yeah, exactly. It's July 23rd. There's a lot of baseball left. We haven't even hit the trade deadline yet. So you still have a lot of games left, man.
But, dude, they survived the worst. But these guys, Shapiro and Atkins, survived the worst of it. Things are trending upwards now. If they got through the tumultuous times where everyone was calling for them and saying they don't know what they're doing.
I will remind you of the Leafs. Remember, let it play. You kind of got to let it play out.
In terms of how people are going to react to it.
Yeah.
Well, of course. You're not gonna crown anyone in the middle of the season. But the fact that they are where they are, it kind of would suggest that whatever they were looking at under the curtain, they kind of knew what they were doing. It can't just be unless it's a fluke, unless it's just a heater and it's a complete fluke.
It's hard to say that.
But you could also say that last year was such a fluke the other way, and now it's kind of evening out. I don't know.
Yeah, it was particularly awful last year. And the year before they made the playoffs, they won 89 games. The year before that, they made the playoffs. So, that was the kind of counter argument that they have made the playoffs. Now, they haven't done anything in the playoffs, which they have to own. And they've been here for a decade. But there's 62 games left. That's a lot of time to go either way. If you go right down the middle, you're going to make the playoffs. If you go 31-31, you're 90 wins. That's in. You probably won't win the division, but you're in. You're going to be one of the wild cards teams for sure with 90 wins. So you got 500 the rest of the way. If you go above that, you're going to win the division, and that takes you in a completely different, category. But there's also another wild card, and that is what's happening with the ownership of all these teams. And the solo owner of the Jays is the guy that now has punted on Masai and punted on Shanahan. Keith Pelly's the guy that has to go out and answer for it. It's not Keith Pelly. It's Edward Rogers that's making that call.
Yeah.
There's one sheriff in town now that owns all of the teams, and it's him. And if you're the Jays, if you're Shapiro and Atkins in particular, it might be different because it's a different team, it's a different business, it's a different compartment. But Masai, Shanahan, they were told, thanks for coming out, but see you later. I don't know. That would be more of a concern than wins and losses if I'm Shapiro and or Atkins.
Yeah.
Are they going to keep both?
A great call.
This is our new philosophy, and we're going to restructure things, and we think that position is redundant. I don't know. We talked about it with Pelly and MLSC. It's people from here know hockey, or they think they know hockey. Might not know basketball, so you're probably looking for a president for basketball, right? I think we're all
bizarre.
We're all kind of guilty of just kind of knowing or thinking we know more than we actually do when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, well, and that is an interesting question about how they make sure collectively MLSC, and then this is different. The Jays are not a part of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, but it feels like there's a merging, kind of existing, or it's going to happen at some point where they're all going to be under the same umbrella. I don't think anyone would be surprised by that. that how does this new ownership setup, or it's not a conglomerate because it's really one guy, but I guess it's the company technically. How do they express to the individual fan bases that they're all equally important? Like that's what I'm curious about. Like I don't think Leaf fans have never felt like an inferior product in the city, clearly. Like they've always been at the top, the Leafs, right? They've always got the most pub. They've always had the most support, most resources. All the owners have seemingly been like, we got to do whatever we can to help them when they haven't won. But I don't think any Leaf fan can sit there and say, well, ownership hasn't done enough to make my favorite team a priority or make it look as if you're doing everything you can to win. The Raptors, I'm very curious about this transition because I think Masai represented that to a lot of Raptor fans, that he was the conduit between ownership and whatever ownership was going to do. He was going to make the Raptors feel important. Like that's what he represented. He was a pure basketball, pure Raptor, almost super fan as opposed to the president.
And significant presence around the league.
Presence around the league, exactly. He was the guy, everyone knew Masai. Everyone listened to Masai. He had serious clout everywhere, and that guy's gone now. And I am curious about that. Like if Raptor fans are looking at this saying, where do we fall in line? Like, are we equal? Are we on the same as the Jays and the Leafs? Because I don't know if they can say that right now.
It's going to depend on how much money they're willing to spend and how aggressive they're going to be. Because anytime a big name player like Giannis comes up, and it's like Masai's got the connection there. Meanwhile, might not be able to make it work, but at least, the Masai connection makes you relevant in those conversations. Now you have to keep yourself relevant in those conversations and not be like the Maple Leafs little brother. Because if it's winter, like I would look at it and say Leafs are number one, Jays are number one in the summer, and then the Raptors have to find a way to make sure they have the same kind of significance as the Leafs, which is hard to do, especially when they're not winning. Like, say what you want about the Leafs. They've been very successful, at least in the regular season, and they've been going to the playoffs. The Raptors really haven't had that success since they won a championship. So byproduct of that is it's just harder for them to have that same kind of significance. But that'll be like, I think Jays and Leafs, because the seasons are separate, you won't have an issue there. I think it's where the Raptors fall in. It's like they're overlapping with the Leafs.
And they were the last ones to get here, right? Like the Leafs have been here for over 100 years. The Jays showed up in 77. Now the Raptors have been here for 30 years.
They're also the last team to win here.
And they were also absolutely the last team to win here. But Masai was the guy. No one said, like, thanks to ownership for that.
No.
It was all Masai.
Because he thought big. Like he pursued big ideas. Like he wasn't, you know what I mean? Like he kind of puffed out his chest and said, we're going to take swings to win a title.
Took the ultimate swing and it paid off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see where that all goes with the ownership scenario and situation
and especially
in
like
Toronto.
Hayes, like there's like this aura of like, how much cost cutting is going to happen? And I guess it's already happened kind of like you get rid of Shanahan, don't replace him. Get rid of Masai, might replace him. They're going to replace him, right?
That's the report.
That's what they said.
Now, they may just do it internally. Like, I think
Bobby
Josh
Webster,
Lewenberg was writing about that. Does Bobby just become that and then...
He's president and general manager?
So what have you really done? You've just given him a new title and some more money. Does it? Maybe he's prepared for it. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe it's going to be an easy transition for Bobby Webster.
Well, and they stepped up and paid Vladdy, which was a ton of money.
Yeah.
Which they had no choice. They had to do that.
And you know what I was thinking about today on the way in, like in terms of Vladdy and his significance and his importance, and we're doing this kind of quarter century stuff, like, and we'll get to this in confirm or deny. What we could be saying about all these star players who are currently in Toronto in the year 2050, like who's going to be the face of the next quarter century. It very likely could be Vladdy. But yes, he got paid a fortune. Yes, it got to a point where they just met his price and he basically had to take it. But he did stay. And it is a different market in the way people view the idea of a player staying. Like Marner just left, and that was the most outrageous one because he's from here and it was hockey and it was the Leafs. Like that's the one where no one really concerned themselves about that forever. The NBA, we're just talking about the Raps. They unfortunately, they have a long history of guys like Kawhi won and said, I'm out of here the second he could. Vince and Bosch, and you can go down the list. Damon Stoudemire, Tracy McGrady. The Jays, always kind of difficult. Can you the guys want to stay here. The guys going to be here forever.
Play in Canada.
Yeah, and yes, it's $500 million, so no one's going to empathize, and be like, hey, thanks so much for taking one for the team for staying up here. But he did stay. And like Toronto sports fans have a soft spot for anyone that's willing to do that.
I always wonder, there's like a cynic inside me that, and I'm sure other people think this way too. Well, you stayed, you didn't kind of bet on yourself or test the market. Are you afraid of something? Is there something you're afraid of going out there?
Let's hope not.
Right?
Down the stretch here. Let's hope
exactly.
not. All right, confirm or deny coming up. Steve Phillips will join us later in the afternoon. The NFL camps are opening, and there's some big names who decided they're not showing up. They're waiting until they get paid. They want a new contract. They want new money. Jerry Jones was speaking yesterday. Always entertaining when he does that. We'll tell you about what Jerry was saying. We'll get into that a little bit later this afternoon. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. Statements are made. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. All right? Now, yesterday we got into a Matthews and Marner point total debate. I'm going to continue with this. Confirm or deny. Austin Matthews is more likely to score 50 goals next season than Mitch Marner is to score 100 points. Confirm or deny.
Just love needling this, eh?
Go ahead, Jonas. What do you got? More likely to happen, 50 snipes for Matthews or 100 points for Mitch Marner?
It's a deny. Mitch Marner is more likely to get 100 points in Vegas than Matthews is to get 50 goals next year.
Is he?
Is he?
Best
Yeah.
goal scorer in the world? Okay.
Best goal scorer in the world. He can have a 48-goal season now.
You're denying this.
I'm denying it.
I'm not convinced at all Marner
denying
hits
it.
100 points. No one hits 100 points in Vegas. That's not how they play. It's not the way it operates there. I'm thinking he's going to have a bit of a difficult time at some point transitioning into that team. Like, it's a huge change for him. Massive change.
You're right.
I think
It's a big
Matthews is
change.
going to have a huge bounce back year. Like, I am all in on Austin Matthews saying, all right, you think I'm going to fall off because one guy's left my wing or left my team? Watch yourself. I'm confirming it.
I think I agree with Hayes.
You're allowed to do that, Jonas. You
It's really
you don't
hard
have
for
to
me.
take a
It's so
shower
hard.
afterwards.
I'm like, oh,
Like, this guy's like, anyone have any bath salts?
Yes.
Like, I feel disgusting.
It kills him to have to agree with
Yeah,
you.
it does.
This is terrible, but I mean, how many times has Marner hit 100 points in his career? Once.
One time.
He's
And that was
been
playing-
close. Like, he's at
And
99,
yeah, like,
97.
he also
And
had,
that's not going to cut it.
He had 97 and 7, or I think 97 and 72 games. Like, he's been
Yeah, he had 99
100
points one year.
But that was playing for like high scoring.
And guess who was scoring for him?
Yeah.
The big dog.
And like
But he
Jack
could be
Eichel
playing
isn't
with
that.
Eichel. I guess
But Eichel's not going to score 40, 50 goals.
No, he's not.
he could if he stays healthy. This is the big, like,
Yeah.
Eichel needs to stay healthy the same way Matthews needs to stay healthy.
That's-
Those guys have had a hard time putting together
Yep.
80, 82 game seasons.
But Matthews had a down year last year. And how many did he score?
Was it
37 or
30-something?
something.
And then
And
2
that's
years ago or 3 years ago, he had the down year that was 40.
40. Yeah.
So he went 40, 69, 30-something. So what does he do now? It's almost like, it could be. He could have 48, though.
Yeah,
because he could
And-
play.
and
he
Marner
play-
could have 98.
He could have 48 in 72 games. Like, let's say Austin Matthews misses 10 games next year.
Yeah.
It would be a decent clip for him. But I don't know. Is it unrealistic to expect Austin Matthews to be a 60-goal guy every single year? We talk about it all the time that this guy's got to be, or guys can't have career years all the time. I get it. 50's not 60.
That's not what we're asking.
I know. I get it.
All right, you deny it.
I'm denying it. I'm denying it.
Listen,
So wait, do you think Marner will hit 100 points or not?
I think Marner's more likely to hit 100 points than Matthews is to get 50 goals next year. And I probably eat my words.
No, listen.
In April, I don't know.
I don't think that it's not an unreasonable, like, at all. I mean, Marner is more than capable. They're a very good team in Vegas. He's not going to a team that doesn't have, but they don't. Again, they don't have a lot of pure goal scorers in Vegas, like not in the top 6. And even we assume he's playing with Eichel. Maybe he's not.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe he's not, but
Like maybe he's playing with Hurdle. Maybe
who's passing to Matthews in the slot between 4 guys next year?
Nylander.
I hear you.
Let me ask you:
Is Willie doing that? Because Willie likes to shoot it a lot.
Domi's connected with him before. Michelli, I don't know.
Domi's
I don't know. It's a
connected-
fall off. It's
No,
a
I know,
fall
but
off. There's no question.
Domi's connected with him because he's had Marner there as well to facilitate with it.
I'm just thinking. You can tell me if this is crazy. Is there any world in which Marner is a candidate for the Hart?
Yes.
Like
there
I could
is.
actually see that
Because it's a
playing
cool
out.
story. Like if you go to
Yeah.
a new team, you have a great year, you
They're
score
really good.
107 points, you win the division, he will absolutely be, I don't think he'll win it, but
It's never come close.
That's going to be
and that's because of
clickbait.
Matthews.
That's getting posted, and it's going to be clickbait on Twitter later.
Jonas
Marner for the
predicts
heart. This
Marner
is what
wins
Jonas.
I just could see a world where that happens. Like they're going to be a good team. He does everything.
It's more difficult with players like that. That applies all the time. The coach of the year, all the time, goes to a new coach, team that wasn't great,
unexpected success, blah blah blah.
But that won't apply here. Vegas was really good before Marner arrived. They're not going to get exponentially better, in my opinion. They're not going to. I don't picture 125 points and they dominate. I think they'll just continue to be a steady ship that's really good, and he'll continue to contribute to that. But you're talking like right now. I think there's a clear separation. I think there's a clear number one is McDavid.
Yeah, Draisaitl.
And then I think it's Draisaitl, McKinnon, Makar, Kucherov, which is a clear number 2. In my opinion.
And then Matthews.
And then I'd have Matthews at 6, personally, which he has the capability of getting back into that second group, but he didn't play well last year. Like, based on his stats, his numbers weren't good enough to put him in that category. And then you got the Barkovs and the Pasternaks and the Quinn Hugheses, and like that's
Tkachuk when he's healthy.
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk. Like there's that next level. Yeah, exactly. Like there's and Marner's not in that group either, in my opinion. Marner's not in that third group. Either. He'd be in the fourth group
now. He's always just been in Matthews' shadow. That's been part of this, and now he's not.
So you think it was a perception issue as opposed to actually a performance?
I think the 21-22 season, he was unbelievable. He had 35 goals, 97 points in 72 games. He was awesome. Two-way stuff. He was scoring all the time. In the second half, remember, I don't know if you remember this, he came back from an injury, and I think he was third in the league in goals after he came back.
Was that when he couldn't score a power play goal? Like he had a hard time scoring power play goals, and all of a sudden it just
that was a
clicked
playoff
for him.
Thing, I think.
There was a
run where he didn't score for a long
regular
time.
Season. He hadn't scored a power play goal in a while. Then all of a sudden he started scoring.
But that season, just to close it off, that season, he didn't come close to the Hart because Matthews scored 60 goals. He didn't I don't think he had a top 10. He had nothing.
Right.
And it's he was unbelievable.
35 goals.
And 97 points in 72 games and a top 5 defensive forward. But he was playing next. It's like when you're a supporting actor in a movie with a star. It's like you're just overshadowed by a guy who scores 60.
Yeah. I think a lot of for the goal scoring for Austin Matthews, he's going to have to be a little bit of he's going to have to chug along himself here and be a little bit of a self-starter, right? He can't just lay in the weeds and wait for the pass to just appear on his tape in a perfect situation. Unless Matthias Michelli is all of a sudden going to be like the poor man's version of Mitch Marner, which you can't bank on either. So I think Marner is surrounded by skill that he can facilitate in Vegas, and Matthews is going to have to be like, okay, guys, someone's got to get me this puck on the power play.
Well,
someone's going to have to get it to me at 5-on-5.
One of the things that happened last year was they played a different system under Craig Berube, and I don't think it was super conducive to Matthews, honestly. I don't think it worked perfectly. He didn't have the puck as much. He didn't get as many great looks. He wasn't being set up as much, and now he's losing Marner. So, what does that look like?
Well, and listen, Mitch Marner, I think, can be dropped into any lineup, any system, and be comfortable and play. I think that's been a part of their issue in the playoffs in the past. They've been easier to defend because Marner's easier to shut down when the ice shrinks.
Yeah.
And, the playoff style of hockey comes alive.
Totally.
And Matthews has been very reliant on that. You got to get him a lane. He'll get it off quicker than anybody and better than anybody, and he'll put it in a spot that nobody can. But you got to get that to him. That's just a legitimate concern. Why I'm bullish on Matthews is because of the injury and basically the way his career is jockeyed from down year, great year, down year, great year. That alone would lead me to believe this guy should be launching into another stratosphere. Year 2 at Berube, year 2 as a captain, and more pressure on him to perform because, again, Marner's gone. Now who are you?
You gotta take ownership.
How are you wired, and what do you have in the tank? And I think he's going to have a big year.
I think the one thing is how healthy will he be?
We don't have an answer for that
because he gets hurt at training camp, and it's just it never goes away.
Yeah, no, that's valid. All right, confirm or deny. Vladdy Jr. will be the face of Toronto sports for the next quarter century. So if you jump in a time machine and head to 2050, and we're saying who has been the man For the last 25 years in Toronto sports, confirm or deny it'll be Vladdy.
That's too far away.
Deny.
You got to cut down.
Deny.
You're playing the field. It's Vladdy or the field. Then deny it.
It's deny. It's 100% deny.
Okay.
Based on the fact that you're playing the field, but also if the Maple Leafs in the next 25 years win a Stanley Cup and Austin Matthews is the centerpiece, it'll be Matthews Mania or whoever it is.
Yeah.
If Matthews is gone and some player who's 10 years old eventually gets drafted by the Leafs and that's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's whoever wins with the Leafs is going to be the guy, no matter if the Blue Jays win or the Raptors win again. 25 years, who knows if the Leafs will win in that time. They haven't done it in the last almost 60 years, but that's like, it's almost like that the face is in waiting for whoever wins with the Leafs.
Yeah, if not, that's assuming they will win in the next 25 years, which is clearly no guarantee.
That's almost an 80-year drought at that point.
Yeah. Like it's happened before. Talk to the Cubs, talk to the Red Sox. Like it has happened before. And, again, 25 years ago, who would have ever thought who was Kawhi Leonard 25 years ago? I'll deny it because the field is just so expansive. Like there's so much opportunity within even the Blue Jays. Like who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, someone shows up and is a phenom for the Jays.
JoJo Parker.
Maybe JoJo Parker's that guy.
Yeah.
But Vladdy has the inside track clearly, even over Matthews because of the contract commitment. Like if he's going to be here for another 14 years or 15 years, that's 15 of the next 25. Vladdy's a part of it.
Yeah.
So, if he ingratiates himself to the market even more than he already has, if they win a World Series, then it's probably over. Like if Vladdy's the man. So he's got the inside track. It's just, the field is so wide open with the Leafs and Raptors and even the Blue Jays. All right, we'll come back and continue with Confirm or Deny. We got a few more in the tank here. Steve Phillips in about 20 minutes. Game 2 at Jays-Yankees tonight after the Jays winning last night. They've won 11 in a row at home. How long can the win streak go? We'll catch up with Steve on that and more. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Steve Phillips coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll sprinkle in some confirm or denies throughout the afternoon. Got Dave Sims coming up too, Yankees radio broadcaster, host of Hey Now. And, the Yankees are reeling, man. They are reeling, and the Jays are taking full advantage, and it's a beautiful thing. 11 home wins. They've beaten the Yankees now 5 times in the last 2 weeks. And Jays are in a really good spot. And as for confirm or deny, I'll throw this out to you guys. Again, it's early. There's 62 games left. We haven't hit the trade deadline yet. But confirm or deny, the Blue Jays will finish with the best record in the American League.
Confirm.
You're confirming.
Wow. Confirm that.
Uber positive.
Yeah.
It's an Uber positive Tuesday.
They're going to be a better team after the trade deadline. As long as everyone stays healthy, maybe they add a pitcher, little bullpen help.
Yep.
As long as everything keeps going in the right direction. And I like the fact that it's not just this one, not little heater. They've won 4 in a row. They've won 11 in a row at home. But it does feel like this has been a build-up. This didn't just happen overnight. And everyone's contributing. It's not just one guy. You're getting, a lot of different players pitching in, whether it's pitchers or hitters, or it's just a lot of things are going well. I think this is something that's sustainable throughout the rest of the season.
Okay.
This is a tough one. Really tough. So they are a half game back of Detroit right now.
Mm-hmm.
So who do I think is going to be better?
Game up on Houston, 4 games up on the Yankees, and then it's a real drop off to Seattle, Boston, Tampa. That's the thing. It's just there's 3 or 4 teams we're really talking about here.
I think I'd have to deny.
You're taking the field.
Yeah, I'd have to take the field. I still look at the run differential, and some of this is gonna.
Okay, you Michael K-ing it. Okay,
yeah.
You're gonna Michael K this one.
Yeah, you're not confirming it, are you?
Listen, there's a storm of positivity right now where everyone is being caught up in it. But I look at the Tigers; they're still really young.
Sure.
We had who did we have on yesterday?
If you go through their lineup, it's just all young guys, basically.
And they had a phenomenal second half last year, and they've carried it over. But are they going to keep that consistent? I don't know. The Central's pretty bad, so they do have an opportunity to just keep beating up on the Chicagos and the Minnesotas and the Kansas Cities. And if those teams trade off even more, they're going to be worse in the second half, which is obviously a benefit for Detroit. But I'll confirm it based on, the fact that the Jays are doing this with a lot of guys who also aren't available to them. Varsho's going to return at some point. I think Jimenez will return, which, again, from an offensive standpoint, might not offer much help. But from a defensive standpoint and on the bases, is certainly going to be beneficial. And I do think at the trade deadline, they're going to be uber aggressive. So, yeah. Why not, Jonas?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? There's a lot of game left.
You hate that Hayes is positive today and that you've had to agree with him a couple times?
It did kill me to agree with him, but yeah.
I'm an uber positive guy.
How can you not be positive about the Jays right now?
Always have been. Always will be.
That seems like a stretch. I remember doing shows last year where it was not overly positive.
What about shows in April?
Yeah. Listen, my mantra's always been very consistent. You guys play the games.
Yeah.
You guys play the games, and opinions are subject to change. That's the beauty of it.
That should be in the show disclaimer.
Yeah. Opinions are subject to change.
Put that on the YouTube Live.
Yeah, exactly. Get that up and make sure everyone knows it. All right, hour 2 coming up. We'll continue with some confirm and deny. We'll get back into our bracket, the most valuable Toronto athletes of the last 25 years. Jays Yankees tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado, Jonas Siegel in here. Steve Phillips later in the hour. Got a little confirm or deny later in the hour. Jonas, you've put a list together as well that I think we might have to dive into.
Oh, yeah. We could spend an hour on it.
Yeah, you got a good list today?
Yeah.
Controversial Leafs list?
No, it's a good
Yeah?
list.
Very even-keeled?
Oh, that's all I know.
Uber positive?
Numbers driven?
No.
Purely?
No numbers.
I like that.
Gut Jonas.
Okay.
Gut feel Jonas.
I love that. Eye test.
Eye test, Jonas.
You're going to eye test a list. See, I support that greatly. Okay, so we'll get to that a little bit later on. We're going to talk some NFL later this afternoon. Jerry Jones. I am very curious how much more, like, the rest of the Jones family is going to allow him to keep representing the team publicly.
Is
like
Stephen Jones, like, what is his role? Is he like?
Well, he's number 2. Like, he's the number 2 guy.
So
he's mini-me,
okay.
basically. And, like, Jerry just comes out and lights a fire and talks about negotiations and, we shouldn't have done this, or even if we pay that guy, he might get hurt anyway. And then you can see Stephen Jones is like, okay, that's great stuff. And then he's got to come out and, like, try to basically smooth it all over.
And you can't do anything. You can't say anything to the guy.
It's his team, and it's been his team for 35 years.
His team. He's got more money than anyone. Like, he runs the show.
He's 82.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and that's it. Like, Jerry Jones he's owned it for 35. It's been his team. He's the face of. He is more synonymous with his team than any other owner in sports, and I don't think there's anybody close.
And any player on his team. Like, who's been a bigger name or face than Jerry Jones over the last however many years that have played for the Cowboys? Who's a bigger name, Prescott or Jerry Jones?
Jerry.
Probably Jerry.
Right.
Tony Romo or Jerry?
Jerry.
You think
I
so?
still think
It's only
Jerry.
like Emmett Smith, maybe.
Yeah, like Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin,
Aikman
Dion.
probably. Yeah, Aikman. But I think, like, Jerry's the guy.
Yeah, Jerry's the guy.
How do you think that ends? Like, how do you think because he's probably not just going to step aside, right?
No, exactly. I mean,
So is he going to be like a 90-year-old owner talking after
Flash
games?
GM? Yeah, that's, I guess, what I'm anticipating. I don't see any other reason to believe it's going to be different unless, again, his family and his kids get to him and go, Jerry, you just got to take a step back here, please.
He's like the opposite of Lou Lamoriello, where they were both.
No, he is Lou Lamoriello.
No, but
he doesn't. He owns it.
He is, but he doesn't act like Lou. Lou doesn't. He's not out there.
No,
But
Lou's
he's not putting on fires. Yeah, Lou does some goofy things. He signs some weird contracts, but Jerry's like, he kind of telegraphs everything before it happens, whereas Lou is like this weird cone of silence. They're the same guy, same age kind of category.
Yeah.
But
Literally
very
the same
different.
age.
Yeah, okay, so exactly the same age, but very different in how they operate.
Yes, big time. But like you said, Lou didn't own any of the teams. Now he kind of worked with full autonomy
I don't think
everywhere
Lou
he was.
cared if he owned it or not. He was
Yeah.
going
But it
to
just
do
feels
what he
like-
wanted to do.
How will it end nicely? Like, it probably won't, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you hope that they have team success. If you're a Cowboy fan, that maybe in spite of Jerry Jones,
But
they
he's
find a
not
way to
going to
win.
step aside. Right?
No, I know that. I don't have
So
an
is
answer for you.
something going to happen where he says something he shouldn't say, and then it's just like, oh, that's it.
I'm not even sure that would stop him.
Yeah,
Like, we're
you're right.
talking about Texas, we're talking about Dallas. Like, he's had some controversies. He's had some stuff
Yes. Yeah.
away from the field or away from the front office that have not taken him down.
Wouldn't you want to know what a couple of the group chats are like? Like, not the big group chat for the Cowboys, but like the off,
The
you know,
Jones
like
family?
let's say there's like a Parsons, Prescott, and a couple other guys in a group chat, and it's like Jerry's doing his thing, spouting off again. Do they talk about it? Do they vent about it? Are they just like, you know what? Jerry does that stuff, but he's actually good to us, so we can't really complain. I would be so curious to know how they actually felt about all this stuff that happens, because it always seems to happen every
And you're
every
right,
so
though,
often.
that there is a difference between, whatever he's portraying publicly and, he's got an operational mode that's just the way he works, and he speaks his mind, and he wants to talk, and all this kind of stuff. Yet maybe, if he treats the players like $1 million, that's all that matters. That's all they care about. The coaches, he's been very loyal. Like, he has this reputation of being a gunslinger and just a guy that just wakes up one day and goes, "You're fired." That's not how he operates. Jason Garrett was there for years. Mike McCarthy's still there. That's the way it's worked,
Dude, same idea with Dak. He would have had opportunities to walk away from Dak. He's doubled down on him.
Yeah.
Believed in him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just the coach.
No, exactly.
Guys, I could tell you firsthand, guys would have said about Lou, Lou is kind of crazy, intimidates us, scares us, but Lou's pretty fair and he's pretty good to us. I wonder if guys would have the same thing to say about Jerry.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, we'd have to ask players, how they ultimately feel about all that. All right, Jays back in action tonight. They've won 11 in a row at home. They've beaten the Yankees 5 times in 2 weeks. That's way better than 11 wins in a row at home.
The Pedro line, the Yankees. Did he say the Yankees are my daddy?
Yeah, I believe it was Pedro that said that. Yeah. And then, remember, he got in that dust up. And
yeah, what was the bench coach's name? Steve would know.
Yeah, what the hell was that guy's name? He was a lifer, too, with the Yankees.
He was Joe Torre's guy.
The bald guy?
Yeah, the older guy.
Tiny dome.
What was it? Yeah, well, let's just bring in Steve. Steve will remember. Here's Steve Phillips. Steve, who was the guy that Pedro threw to the ground in that Yankee-Red Sox fight?
Yeah, Uncle Fester. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
No, Don Zimmer.
Don Zimmer.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes. Well, that's what we're hoping for tonight. We want to see the benches clear, and we want to see, I don't know, Don Mattingly go out there. That'd be interesting if Mattingly went out there and just started laying a beating on someone from the Yankees. But, yeah, it's uber positive up here in Toronto, Steve. I'm sure you can imagine.
Oh, I can't even look. Here's the thing, guys. I fixed them. Now it's up to you guys to continue this run. Like, I got them here to 11 straight wins.
Right.
Now it's up to you guys to make sure that they don't lose another game at home.
I think we can find a way to make that work. I don't think that's going to be an issue for people because when you consider, the clutch gene that they've found here, like last night was a significant, I guess, representation of that, Steve. We're in the 5th inning. They're down a run. Springer gets on. Vladdy gets on. And Bichette, who has been the most clutch hitter in baseball, ropes one down the left field line. Vladdy goes first to home. It just everything is working for them right now. And I think the fundamentals seemingly are a big part of that.
Oh, yeah. They're doing a lot right. And, what happens is that when you're not playing well, if you're not hitting, you made an error, then you sometimes get overzealous. You try to do too much. You try to hit a 3-run home run with nobody on base. And when you start trying too hard in this game, instead of letting it come to you, you end up making mistakes. And so, they've got such confidence right now.
We may have lost them there.
That sounded like his phone basically saying, we're not doing this anymore.
We're done here. It was Don Zimmer. His phone got Don Zimmered.
Yeah, someone Don Zimmered that phone, and that was a direct drop.
Yeah.
Like, we're not here anymore. So we'll call Steve back. We'll get him back in. But, Phillips is coming around on the Jays too. Who isn't?
Dude, of all the dust-ups you've seen in the MLB, like, that's got to be the most bizarre one, right? Like, Pedro roughing up Don Zimmer.
Yeah, that was really weird because, like, in Zimmer, like, remember the next day he was, like, crying, which is really tough to watch because he looked like everyone's grandfather, and he had been a Yankee, like, legend and been around forever, and he was on Torre's staff forever. And Pedro probably took it a little far, but what the hell was Don Zimmer doing? Running at Pedro? You can't rush at a guy. Like, what are you doing, Don Zimmer?
You're rushing him.
Smarten up, man. Like, naturally, like, Pedro just kind of gave him
he pushed him to the side.
Yeah, like a bullfighter type move. Like, just go over here, Don Zimmer. Anyway, we got you back, Steve. Go ahead. We lost you there, but go ahead.
They've got so much going right at this point, and they've got the confidence level that they need. And what's interesting is the starting pitchers are 31-28 on the season. There's just 3 games over 500, but the bullpen is 28-13. they're 15 games over 500 right now. And so that tells you, because I'm trying to understand how their record is what it is, and they've got the fourth best run differential in the division. And, you know, what's the story is that effectively, you know, they are winning because they come back in games. The starters don't throw clunkers, but, you know, they'll give up a run or two or three in the first 5 innings or so, and then they come back later in the game. They beat up on the other team's bullpen. The Blue Jays bullpen comes in. They hold the lead, but what they also do, and this is a key for good bullpens, they also hold the deficit. That if they fall behind, they come in and then they allow the offense to come back without allowing those tack-on runs for the other team. It's an odd formula. You know, it's not the most conventional formula where, you know, your bullpen is out-pitching your rotation in many regards. But the offense is coming around. And listen, the run.
Don Zimmer, man.
No, that time was Nolan Ryan got a hold of him.
You think that's what
He
that
just
was?
started
Someone was rushing the mountain.
right over the top of the dome.
Yeah, that one stung too, man, because Nolan Ryan was old in that fight. Like, he was old. Not like we're talking
old for
sports
athlete
old, but I think he was in his
purposes.
40s.
Yeah, but that's different because in your 40s, don't you start to get old man strength?
That's what they say.
Dad, old man strength, like grizzly bear type stuff.
Yeah, you're supposed to, but that was not a smart play. That was another guy. Now I'm forgetting who ran out on the field there because he became a manager for a long time,
I don't
too.
remember that one.
You don't remember where Nolan Ryan hit a guy and he ran towards the mound and Ryan put him in a headlock and beat the hell out of the guy? You've seen that a million times, Jonas.
I don't know.
Robin Ventura.
Robin Ventura, that's who
Robin
it was.
Ventura.
Man, I'm losing my mind here. I can't remember names.
Yeah.
Robin Ventura.
But that's an all-time clip.
Yes, because Ventura was young. Like, he was mid-20s, and he thought, I'm going to go out there and just beat up on this old guy.
Nowhere
How dare you?
even close to it. Like, Ryan brings him in. Ventura doesn't get anything off. He brings him in right away, headlock, and just starts peppering him right over the head.
That's got to be the worst feeling in the world. In front of 40,000 people, an old guy's got you in a headlock.
Like, he
and
might as well have
throwing off the top of your head.
He might as well have given him a noogie.
Yes. Like, look at this, Jonas. So Ventura plays it cool. He's like, I'm going to lay a beating on this old guy. And Ryan's like, come here, you little snot.
No chance.
Just starts laying a beating on the guy. I love that. We need more of that in baseball. We need way more of that. And Pete Alonso was advocating for that at the All-Star game.
Was he?
Yeah, he said it should be like hockey. Go get in a fight. You don't get kicked out of the game.
The crazy thing about those fights where you're not on skates, it's basically a street fight.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's a street fight with a uniform on.
That's right. It's like lacrosse, man. They'll take their helmets off, and you're in a bar, basically, just fighting.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to try this one more time, Steve. You're down 0-2 in the count here with that phone of yours, but you got us or what?
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna actually charge the amount on the phone company right now.
Yeah, good man. But yeah, it's all coming together, and you look at last night, like the start by Gausman, and this has been a big topic of discussion leading up to the trade deadline. Like, what are they going to do with the rotation? Is it possible for them to find anyone that's going to give you more confidence than Gausman, Bassett, or Barrios? He had extra rest coming out of the All-Star game, but man, did he look good last night. He challenged the Yankees. He challenged Judge multiple times. If they're at their best, is Gausman your game one starter? Like, if he's in a position where you feel like he can pitch the way he was going to pitch last night?
Yeah, I mean, he can be. There's no question. We've seen him be an ace. We've seen him be a Cy Young candidate. So we know that's in him. But what happens is that you don't have a chance to do anything else, starting August 1st. And so how confident are you that, you're going to get the premium performance from your starting pitchers for the rest of the year? And I don't feel confident about that, even with guys that have been consistently dominating all season long. So, my view is that they still need to try to tack on. This is the year to go for it. You're not going to get enough front-end starting pitching. And you know what? If you get a fourth guy and you go 4 deep for the playoffs and everybody's fresh and ready to go, and maybe you could use somebody in the bullpen if you need them, I think you've got to go for it that way. I don't hedge my bet in any way. There's nothing that's going to happen over the next couple of days, leading in 9 days leading to the deadline, that's going to cause me to pull back. I'm going for it if I'm Ross Atkins or Mark Shapiro, and that includes getting a pitcher that is as good or better than the front end of the rotation.
Steve, I'm sure you've seen the visual of Vladdy flying through the air going into home last night. I mean, what does that do for the players in the clubhouse and the dugout, seeing a guy like Vladdy really kind of laying it out there, doing a little bit extra where, we've seen Vladdy in the past, whether it was a couple of years ago, waving at second base, trying to get a challenge. And that just looks totally different. It looks blue collar like, it's lunch pail like. And I have to think that kind of stuff really permeates through the rest of the dugout.
Yeah, I think it does for sure. I think also, from an organizational point of view, when your superstar is busting it, it doesn't just impact the major league team. It impacts your minor leagues. It's an opportunity to show everybody these are our expectations when you play for our major league team, that our superstar is hustling. He does run out ground balls, too, generally, and hustles down the line. And so, look, on occasion, I don't mind a guy pulling up a little bit, 162 games, and he's going to be out there every day, and I'd rather, him stay healthy than pull a hamstring. But I think it's great. I do. I think that, and even as a GM, it reinforces to you and to ownership that, he's taken responsibility for his role on this team, and we've given him a lot of money. And with that money has come a lot of responsibility, and he's owning that responsibility. I think it's a special thing.
Steve, if I could go back to your point about starting pitching, let's say the best you can do, short of like going crazy and getting Mitch Keller or Joe Ryan, is someone like Seth Lugo, free agent after this year. Is that would you do that, or do you just kind of say, you know what, this is what we got, we're not going to go in for someone like that?
I would do that. I would. I think that you have to protect Lauer and Scherzer, and look, I know Scherzer is going to pitch today. I know that, he's made, 4 or 5 starts in a row, but that thumb is a continuous thing he has to manage. And for me, I just can't assume that he's going to be able to stay healthy the last 2 months of the season. And if I don't protect him now, then, August 2nd rolls around, his next start, he comes out with a sore thumb, and I've got nowhere else to go. And so I think you have to ensure, buy your insurance now. If you don't need it, then you've got depth and a little too much, then so be it. Find a way to manage that. But I don't want to get caught with my pants down that, I assumed that my 40-year-old pitcher was going to stay healthy when he's had injuries over the last 3 years and then have it go wrong. Because the obvious question will be, well, would I be shocked if something happened? None of us wanted to, but would I be shocked? Sure, no, I wouldn't. And if I'm not going to be shocked by it, then I better protect it.
With Steve Phillips, and I was saying earlier, Steve, the history of this front office is they invest in their rotation. That is just always the way that they've operated. That's their philosophy, is build the rotation and the rest can be figured out. And then when you compound that with what you just said about Scherzer, the Eric Lauer story has been uber positive. It's just been an unbelievable run. The wheels fell off on him in 2 weeks. Would anyone be shocked? I don't think you could be. And that, you always mention it, managerial malpractice. If you get to the end of the run and you miss the playoffs by a game because Scherzer's thumb flared up and Lauer, returned to where he was maybe a year or two ago, and you just simply don't have options, it's indefensible. And then again, with their philosophy of really investing in that, including just the capital that they have, not just the money, but I would think the prospects they have, if they can find somebody that maybe does have some term and they can build that rotation out beyond the next 2 months, everything Ross Atkins has said and done in the past would indicate that that's likely going to happen in the next 8 days.
Yeah, I would think so. And it's going to come down to, are there pitchers available with control? Who are they? And then, the reality is that's the first choice for everybody. Is if I'm going to give up premium talent, then I want to get more than just a rental player for the rest of the year. And everybody's going to have that same thinking. So the price is going to go up, and it's going to come down to, what are you willing to pay to do it, and what are you willing to pay for your benefit of getting the player and for your benefit of the other team not getting the player? Because some part of this is a game of keep away. I want them, but I also don't want you to get them. I don't want the Yankees to get the starting pitcher that they're both competing to try to get. And so it's one thing if that guy ends up going to San Diego and joins their rotation. It's another one if you lose out on the same guy and he goes to the Yankees. And so for me, I'm willing to pay a premium And, you don't say this as a general manager to run the price up on yourself, but the reality is, if I want the guy and I'm going to get him and I can keep him away and he's the best guy, then I've got a chance to not only help myself, but I've got a chance to damage my closest opposition. I've got to go down that road and pay the price.
With Steve Phillips, so Bo Bichette had the biggest hit of the game last night, and yet it's been very routine for him to do that throughout this season. Like we talked a lot over the last year and a half, but a lack of clutch hitting, lack of performance with runners in scoring position. To put it into perspective where Bichette currently ranks, runners in scoring position, according to MLB.com, Bichette ranks first in average. He's hitting 400 with runners in scoring position, 400. He's ninth in on-base percentage, 10th in slugging. He never strikes out. How much of this is because of where he's hitting in the lineup, in your opinion, now that they've moved him to the cleanup role, which was a big issue for them last year? Remember how much of a black hole that was for them? And they've tried to push him into being a leadoff guy. He's hit second, he's hit third. Now they've just got him hitting behind Vladdy, and seemingly Vladdy's on a lot. Springer's been on a lot. Whoever's hitting cleanup or whoever's hitting leadoff, it changes every night, has done a pretty good job of getting on base as well. Like, what do you see out of Bichette, and how comfortable does this role seem to be for him?
Yeah, he's just a hitter. I mean, generally, he just comes out to play, and I've always thought it's like a summer league team. Like, he's just that guy that comes out, hat backwards, batting gloves dangling out of his back pocket, double wristbands on, he's got the eye black on, he gets out of the van carrying his bat bag. Where do we play? All right, that field over there is like, oh, who are we playing today? Like, he just shows up. He's just a baseball player, and he shows up to play. And I don't know necessarily that it really matters that much to him where he hits. But I do think that the way he is with runners in scoring position, to slow that heartbeat right now. And you watch, he's the best Jays hitter at going the other way. How many times do we see him flare one down the right field line? Slice one just inside the bag down the line over there. And that ability to let the ball travel and have confidence that you can let it get deeper into the zone and still put a good swing on it and drive it the other way gives him the ability to hit the fastball and the breaking stuff. And so, he's not going to take a walk. But with runners on base, I love Joey Votto, but Joey Votto would have a 420 on base percentage and drive in 79 runs because that 3-1 pitch, he was taking it with runners in scoring position. But this, Bichette's going to be up there hacking. He's going to be up there trying to slice it into the outfield, find a gap, try to drive in the runs. And so on this team, with traffic on base in front of him, he's the right guy batting fourth.
How do you explain the difference in George Springer from last year to this year, Steve, where last year he has an OPS under 700 and now he leads the team in home runs?
Well, he has simplified things a little bit with his swing. Man, he used to have a little bit of a leg kick, and now it's not nearly the same starting mechanism that he had before, which a lot of times when hitters aren't, hitting the ball well, they think to themselves, or they're swinging at a pitch out of the zone, they think, I need to wait longer. But the reality is you've got to get that front foot down earlier and getting to the hitting position. And I think he found himself late on so many pitches last year, particularly the fastball. And so he's gotten himself back on the fastball, and now, he can keep his hands back for the breaking stuff. But I think a lot of it, too, is just that rejuvenated confidence in himself. He had injuries, you struggle a little bit, and even, guys who have been all-star players for years, those voices creep into your head of doubt that, I don't know if I can still do it the way I did it before. Am I ever going to be able to bounce back again? Can I be the player I once was? And then when you find a way to get back into that success and confidence circle, it reminds you of who you were as a player, and he's locked back in right now. And I think as much as maybe an adjustment offensively, a swing of the bat in his approach, I think it's also just a high level of confidence.
With Steve Phillips, so the Red Sox lost last night on catcher interference with the bases loaded against the Phillies. It had happened one other time. Someone referenced it. It was like in the 70s or 80s or something
1971, 54 years ago. Johnny Bench was – Manny Mota and the Dodgers. Manny Mota was on third. He was trying to steal home. And Johnny Bench came out of his crouch behind the plate to come up and catch the ball. And Harry Wendelstedt, the umpire, called catcher's interference on Johnny Bench. 54 years ago was the last time a game was walked off on a catcher's interference.
Wow. Like, what are you possibly saying to yourselves in the clubhouse after that? Like, what is Cora? Do you even address the team? Like, what do you do in a scenario like that?
Yeah, I think you just hang with them, boys. We'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And think about the Phillies, in Rob Thompson, their manager, who is so understated. Like, he never gets excited. He goes, well, I thought I've seen everything in my 40 years, but over the last 2 weeks, I saw two things I'd never seen before. Remember, the Phillies lost that game in San Francisco on the inside the park walk-off home run. An inside the park walk-off 3-run homer. It hit off the bricks in right field and ricocheted back towards center field. Andrew Bailey, the catcher or Patrick Bailey, the catcher for the Giants. And then they were unfortunately they lost that game, but this one they were the beneficiary of the catcher's interference on what was kind of a check swing anyway.
Yeah.
That he didn't really look like, but it was he offered so late that he got Narvaez's glove. So that is the thing about this game. When you think you've seen everything, something else happens, and it's like, man, you thought that you've seen every potential thing that could happen in the game, and then something like this happened.
Yep, very true. Well, we'll see what comes of it tonight. Bunch of ball games, including Jays, Yankees tonight. Enjoy it tonight, Steve. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
You got it, guys. Thanks for working through the phones with me.
You got it, buddy. There he is, Steve Phillips, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4 gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. Dave Sims, voice of the Yankees, in just over half an hour. More on NFL camps opening up. I guess Micah Parsons, who did actually report to camp in Dallas, just responded to some Jerry Jones comments. We'll come back and play those at some point this afternoon. Jonas, you have a list, and we'll get into, I guess we're into the Elite Eight for the most valuable athletes in Toronto sports over the last 25 years. We'll do that as well, and we'll obviously vote it down ourselves to a Final Four as we continue to move forward with that this week. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Dave Sims coming up on Jays Yankees tonight. That's in about a half an hour. Steve Weich of the NFL Network as well in an hour. We'll play Micah Parsons, who has responded to Jerry Jones, speaking about his prospective contract extension, although he did report. There's a number of guys in the NFL that did not report. Trey Hendrickson, not in Cincinnati today. Terry McLaurin, not in Washington today. So there are some big names who are looking for new deals that aren't going to report, but we'll get into that with Steve Weich in about an hour. So the most valuable Toronto athlete of the past 25 years, we posted the 1 through 16 yesterday. I don't think any surprises in terms of who got through to the Elite Eight. But why don't we run through these quickly? Okay, Jonas, we'll begin with 1 versus 9. Kawhi Leonard versus Josh Donaldson. This is a crazy Elite Eight. Like these would be two of my five most valuable players of the last 25 years.
I agree, but it has to be Kawhi.
I agree, it has to be Kawhi. I agree.
It's such
like Kawhi, I think, is going to be my guy at the end. He's a 1 seed, and I don't think anyone has been more valuable, even though he's only been here for 1 year. But the term valuable, yes, it's arbitrary in terms of how you view it and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is, it's the only team that won a championship over the last 25 years of the Raptors, Leafs, and Jays. I know Toronto FC and the Argos have won, but they simply don't win unless Kawhi's on the team. Like it's just that easy. Like without Kawhi, you're just not winning.
And what's so strange for his career, I kind of think that was his team, like his iconic team. Like obviously, like when he goes in the Hall of Fame, it's not going to be with the Raptors. But if you look at like the other championships, he was kind of the young guy on those Duncan teams.
Yeah.
And then like that's kind of been it. Like that was the high point, I think, of his career.
That was the biggest year of his career.
It was awesome. And it was just like a vibe in the city, the shot against Philly, the finals, like
the parade,
the memes.
The laugh, the Kawhi laugh, and just throws it all away for the Clippers. Who are now the oldest team in the history of pro sports.
But what's interesting is I think there was a story that came out maybe this year or last that him and Paul George actually talked about coming here together.
I know.
You don't believe that?
Well, no, I think there was some truth in that, but I think ultimately Masai sniffed it out that it was bogus by Oklahoma City to make sure that the Clippers paid more to make sure they wanted to go to LA. They're both from LA. That's what they wanted to do.
Okay.
But it had been reported that was floated out to the Raptors too. Like, Kawhi wanted to play with Paul George. Now, who knows what that deal would have looked like? It was probably Siakam, Anunoby, and a bunch of picks to keep Kawhi, and you bring in Paul George. In retrospect, probably worth it to give it a shot and bring the band back together, possibly.
And imagine that the NBA changes considerably. Like Shea doesn't go to LA.
Yeah, everything's different.
He doesn't go to OKC. Like anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And the Clippers are in a much better position today than they ever were. Paul George is in Philly, and he's hurt already.
Yeah.
All right. Jose Bautista, Roy Halladay, 4 versus 5 seed.
That's so hard. But I was thinking about this. If we're just talking about like most valuable, the bat flip is so iconic. And Roy Halladay, unfortunately, was a victim of the teams that he played on.
Yes.
He just never got to play on a team that had the firepower to make the playoffs or do anything of any kind of significance. But the bat flip has been one of the most iconic pictures, videos, moments. So as much as Roy Halladay is one of the best pitchers of all time, I think in Toronto sports and that scene, I think I have to say Jose Bautista, just based on the bat flip alone.
Yeah, I think so too.
I go Halladay. I think Halladay might be the best J. I mean, people say Alomar, but he was, like we talked about this yesterday, he was the best pitcher in baseball for 5 years.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to the definition of valuable. How valuable can you be if your team isn't in the playoffs? Again, not his fault, but also shouldn't be held against Bautista, where he factored in 15 and 16. Also, most home runs in Jay's history, 54, that one season where he came alive and really revitalized the team after Halladay had left.
And a cool story. Like, he was nothing in Pittsburgh.
That trade was, no one paid any attention to it. When they picked, it was, I think, Bautista for future considerations.
Right.
No one paid attention to it. And all of a sudden, he hits 54 home runs and does what he does. But the bat flip alone, playoff performances, I'd go Bautista. Austin Matthews, Vince Carter.
No question.
Matthews.
Not even close.
Matthews. Yeah, I don't think Vince should have got through Jovinko, and I said that yesterday personally. But it's
Still
not
better,
even close.
Jovinko delivered a championship.
Yeah, exactly. Vince didn't do that. Now Austin hasn't done it either. I mean, you got to be consistent on that. But and even putting bygones aside, bygones be bygones. Vince was here for 4 years of the century. Austin's been here for 9. Like he's going into his 10th year. And as great as Carter was, he was not as great at his sport as Austin Matthews has been at his.
I would not argue you on that, but I think people would take the stance that Vince Carter helped put the Raptors on the map.
100%.
He was iconic. He put them on the map when no one was paying attention, and there's obviously significance to that. But I think Austin Matthews' performance, 60 goals, 69 goals, Hart Trophy.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, that is worth more than Vince being an icon on a poster.
Yes, and he's still here moving into the next 25 years. The fact that he arrived and they made the playoffs and they only done that once in the previous 14 years or whatever. All right, final one. This one's tough. Kyle Lowry, Matt Sundin. Kyle Lowry or Matt Sundin to wrap up the Elite 8 of the Toronto Sports Quarter Century Bracket Challenge, most valuable athlete since 2000.
That is a tough one, man.
I'm going Kyle. I'm on Lowry because of the championship.
Yeah.
Because of the championship. And yes, he was not the man, and Sundin was the man back in the early 2000s. No taking anything away from Matt. It's a really difficult matchup. There's no taking anything away from Josh Donaldson. He lost too. But Lowry being the longest standing Raptor, again, representing a new era prior to Kawhi putting it over the top, but he was a big part of that with him and DeMar and Casey, and when Masai arrived.
He was like the heartbeat of the team.
Yes.
He was the emotional leader.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, it's got to be Kyle.
And he was great in Game 6 in particular. Remember that closeout game? He was phenomenal at the Oracle. He was great that night. That was the mic drop game of his career.
Yeah, I'm going Matt.
Close one.
I'm going Matt.
You're going Matt?
Yeah, and I just had to look this up. He's the all-time leader in Maple Leaf points.
Yes,
I think for an organization that's been around that long to hold that kind of standing
and goals,
right?
For now,
I'm gonna say Matt's just based on that.
Okay, I can reason with that.
Leader.
I'm on Lowry, but still, okay. You can vote online at OverDrive 1050 at TSN 1050 Radio on Twitter. You can find it on Instagram as well. Okay, Jonas, what do we have here? You got
called Hazy's List.
Hazy's List, courtesy of Jonas Siegel.
So I wanted to think ahead to the 25, 26 Maple Leaf season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm presenting to you guys my most intriguing Leafs, the 5 most intriguing Leafs.
Okay. Starting at 5?
Starting at 5. Okay. You may disagree with this. I have not actually included any of the new Leafs.
Matthias Michelli's not on your list.
He did not crack the top 5.
Okay.
I'm intrigued because they're making bets on him and Joshua. We'll see how those work.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Riley.
Oof.
I think it's an interesting time for him. I believe he's 31. He'll be 32, I guess, next spring. Second year under Craig Berube. It didn't work great, obviously, first year. I think it should be more comfortable for him this year. He has a partner now. We're not going to be, I think, unless he gets traded. But he has someone in Brandon Carlo that we know he's going to play with. We knew he fits with. And I think the way he's been judged in Toronto is really interesting because he is the one guy, I guess him and Nylander, who have had some playoff success individually. It hasn't bought him any benefit of the doubt, which I think is really interesting. His regular seasons have been uneven, but he's always had the playoffs. And even last playoff, he wasn't perfect, but he scored 4 times, which was more than a lot of players.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm interested to see what year 2 under Craig Berube for him looks like.
Yeah.
The adjustment period being over is going to help Morgan Riley. And I think he gets it. He's not one of those guys that is kind of like, he's not head in the clouds. He's not like oblivious to things. Like he would have a pretty good gauge on where his game is at. And with that being said, he would probably be the first one to tell you that being a defense first guy, even though he's a defenseman, it's just not his strength. It's not what he's good at. If you put him in a position to just be up and go and just attack, then you probably get the best version of him. You have to live with whatever comes with that. But I think there will be less resistance moving forward.
And I think he realized probably midway through last year, I can't stop being me, basically. And I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to rein himself in to play like a Craig Berube style, and that just doesn't work. And I
do
think
something for the team. Like he's a very team-oriented guy that way.
And I think one thing that could help him this year is we'll see what happens with anyone else they bring in. He could be back on the point of their first power play unit, which has its limitations, but it's going to mean more opportunities for him to have more puck touches, put
rack up points too,
and gain some confidence because that wasn't happening.
And not feel like he has to defer to Mitch Marner.
Right.
Because I would imagine, like I never played the power play with those two guys, but if you're on the blue line and you look to your left, there's 34. You look to your right, there's 16. You're like...
And then there's 88.
And you're like, well, I'm not going to take a floating wrister, or I'm not going to heat up a one-timer because I got... Like, those are the guys that need the touches, right? So you're wrestling with that the whole time you're out there. There's one... I know the power play is going to look different, and Marner's a great power play player, but there's one factor there that's eliminated that you don't feel like you have to defer to.
There's also, been some reporting or speculation, like if they talk to him about his no movement clause, no trade clause, that adds to the element of intrigue. Like if you don't play well enough, does that become more of a pressure tactic for the Leafs? I could see Riley being higher on this list, actually. So you got him at 5. Who do you have at 4?
I had Nyes at 4, and I'd be curious, Hayes, and Frankie as well, obviously, what you think the ceiling for him is, because I think he's a really unique type of player. Like if you try to find, and I did this after he signed, players who kind of score at that rate and also are as physical as he is and also kill penalties and also are quick and like big and like play big, there just aren't a lot of guys like that. And so I wonder what the next level for him looks like. Maybe it's similar. Maybe he's like, maybe this is what he is, 29, 30 goals, 60 points. I think there's more there, and I think they need more there losing Marner.
Well, and that's, I think, the more intriguing element to it all. Like now, he's the number 2 guy on that line, where he was a clear-cut number 3.
Yeah.
Like for the last year and a half, it's like if you're playing with Matthews and Marner, you know your role, go in there, crash and bang, go to the net, be prepared to make a play. But what he proved throughout last season, but I think even more so in the playoffs, is he has the ability to supply a lot of skill. Like a couple of those breakaway goals he scored in the playoffs were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable hands and instincts and burners. Like you said, like he's not flying out there, but he's capable of breaking down a defense with his legs. So, and now that he's been paid, like that's over with. With Marner gone, like he's your 4th best forward now. Yeah. Maybe your 3rd best forward. And he has to be. He has to follow suit on that.
I think there's more than 60 points. Like in Matthew Nyes' career year, when it's all said and done, I have to think he's a 75-point player because of what you guys just talked about. But the fact that like he's a force in front of the net and below the net. Like he is hard to handle. Yep. He's got good hands. He can finish. But it will be intriguing to see, like, there's no Mitch Marner now. So there's no camping out at the back door and sniffing around. So he's going to have to be a little more of a self-starter the same way that Austin Matthews is.
Okay, we'll come back with your top 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the 3 most intriguing players going into the next season for the Maple Leafs. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Jonas has a list here. The 5 most intriguing Maple Leaf players going into the next season. You have Morgan Riley at 5. You had Matthew Nyes at 4. Continue your list. Who do you have at 3?
Where it gets interesting, and this might be a bit controversial, what I've done for 2 and 3.
Okay.
Number 3 is Joseph Wall. So this is the year that his contract, his new, I guess it's the contract he signed last summer starts.
Kicks in.
$3.67 million cap hit. He had a solid year last year. I think the fact that he played as many games as he did, I think he played 42. That's about what you're probably expecting from him. Like, the results were fine, like not amazing, not great. He ended up being the number 2 by the time the playoffs come around, and then obviously he plays. I wonder, like, if there's a world now where he steps into more and, like, maybe he asserts himself and he takes the number 1 job. I kind of don't think so. I kind of think it's going to be a split between the two of them, but he's being paid more now. I think the expectation should continue to go up. It's now, like, he still needs to be healthy. That's always going to be the thing with him until proven otherwise over a long period of time. But I'm curious to see if there's another level where he can give them 50 games. And, like, maybe he's, like, I think he was 909 or 907 last year, which is, like, just above league average. Like, is there a world where he can go higher than that?
I think there is a world where that can happen. I think if you're Wall, at a minimum, you're looking at this saying that it's open for you to take that opportunity. Like, Stolarz was very good last year, but it was 1 year. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think it's an even race. Like, you show up to camp. If I'm Craig Berube, I go to both guys and say, you're both going to play. You're both going to be given opportunity. Whoever's better at the end is going to play for us.
Yeah, I think
simple.
It's pretty much as even of a split as you can get to start the season. We're going to go back and forth. Maybe someone's going to get another repeat start. And if you guys both play well, then you'll force our hand. We'll keep you going, and at some point we'll narrow it down. That's great. But if someone fumbles it, the other guy can take it and run with it.
Yep.
And that would be Joseph Wall. He's got to stay healthy, though. He's got to stay healthy the same way that Stolarz does.
Well, and I think if you were going, I haven't thought this far ahead, but if you're going to rank, like, the biggest questions about the team going into next year, obviously, like, there's Matthews, there's, like, what happens post-Marner. I think goaltending is, like, it might be number 1 because
it's always high on the list.
Right, it's always going to be high. But with this particular tandem, it's like the goaltending was really good last year. Can it be that good again? Are they going to be as good? Like, defensively, they weren't as good as I think the perception is. What happens now when you lose Marner? You bring in some different types of players, maybe not as good defensively, maybe, like, different types of players. Can the goaltending be as good? Which is why number 2 is Anthony Stolarz.
You got Stolarz at 2.
And I think it's interesting for a lot of different reasons. One, it's a contract year. He can be an unrestricted free agent next summer. This was the idea. Sign him to 2 years, $2.5 million cap hit. Good value. Didn't play a ton last year. I think 30-odd games, 33. 34. Like, it's not a lot. I don't know what to expect in terms of how many games he plays next year. I would probably guess 30 to 40, like max 40.
Yeah.
But he was the number 1 by the time the playoffs came around, and he had earned it. Like, he pulled away from Joseph Wall, and, like, the stakes now are higher for him with the contract, and, like, they need him to be as good as he was last year. And it's going to be really hard to be that good again because he was basically, it's a small sample size, but
one of the best goalies in the league.
One of the best goalies in the league.
That's what he was. He was phenomenal.
His percentage was unbelievable. 926. Here's why I'm not as concerned about the goaltending maybe as you guys, because even if you think Stolarz is pulling back a bit, like he's a 914, 915, that's still really good. And if Wall jumps up from 909 to that range, you're still in pretty good shape with both guys. I think I'm not as worried about performance. I'm more worried about health with both of those guys, even if Stolarz doesn't have the repeat kind of performance.
Okay, Morgan Riley at 5, Matthew Nyes at 4, Joseph Wall at 3, Anthony Stolarz at 2. Who do you have as number 1?
I think you can guess who number 1 is.
Is it Austin Matthews?
It's Matthews. And I think we've talked a lot about it and about our expectations. I think we're all in agreement. He's going to have a better year than he had last year. But the health question, like, until we know and until he knows and until we see it, you can see it with him when he's right. Like, when he's powering through the middle of the ice with speed and, like, powering, he's got the puck. You can even see in his stick handling, it's really tight and, like, controlled.
There's ferocity to it.
There's ferocity to it.
It's
like
McKinnon light.
Yeah.
Sometimes when he's really chugging. McKinnon is like he's angry at the puck and he's angry at the ice.
Yes.
It's not like that for Matthews, but it has a little bit
When
of
he's
that.
coming through the middle, it's kind of like that too. It's not as fast, it's not as powerful, but he has to be back to a Hart contender.
Yeah. Top 10 player in the league.
They just
You have
can't
to be.
afford it. Like they're not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like and one of the guys, and maybe we can talk about this later. They don't have as many guys who like you're sure are going to give them 20 goals. It's like for sure I know Matthews, Nylander, Nyes, Tavares. After that, like maybe McMahon. I don't know. And then it's like, is there anyone else who's going to score 20? I don't really know.
I don't know.
So they really need him to be back to what he can be.
Yes, I think that's reasonable. I think Matthews at one, considering the season he had, Marner leaving, how he looks with Berube in year two. There's a lot that is going to go into his upcoming season. Like he's always talked about anyway, more so than any other athlete in the city. But I think it's going to go to a new level next year. Like I think he might be facing even more,
especially in the playoffs.
Yes, as it should be.
Sure.
And if his health flares up, if he gets to camp and something's not feeling right, all hell is going to break loose here.
Mm-hmm.
Final hour coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado, Jonas Siegel from The Athletic in here. Steve Weich later in the hour. NFL camps opening up. Some big names, though, not reporting to the respective camps. But Parsons is down there in Dallas, but he spoke earlier today. We'll play that clip a little bit later on. We'll get Steve's take on it. And it's pretty amazing. Like, the CFL season's off and running, and it's been up and running for quite some time, and the NFL camps are here. And
dude, Luke's just been burying people on Twitter with this CFL.
He is right in the middle of everything.
He doesn't miss a tweet that gets directed at him, and he's right back at people. It is amazing.
Yeah,
he has time for it.
Big response guy.
Some people will sit there and say, I don't have time to respond to this person. I'm going to mute this person. I'm not getting involved in it. He's got time for it all.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you got something to say,
invested.
He'll answer, and he'll generally contribute to the Twitter thread. Like, he's usually up for that.
And he'll go like 4 or 5 deep. Like, have you ever had a Twitter back and forth with someone? You're like, I'll respond once. Not going to go further than that.
Right. This isn't turning into an all-night thing.
Some of Luke's, and there's like 4, 5, 6. And then by the end of it, they're like, okay, now we're on the same page. Like, there's no way. There's no way I'm making that kind of time investment.
I can't do it anymore. I used to be, a big kind of back and forth, and you'd get into fights on Twitter, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, I got to that point where I'm like, what am I can't do that anymore.
No, you like firing off like a Sunday night, like, here's the status of where the Jays are at.
Very rare now. Yeah. Very rare. I don't know what my numbers would be at the amount of tweets I've tweeted out. Like, I've been on Twitter for 15 years. 35,000 posts, which is a lot.
That's absurd.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of tweets. I'm at 5,300, and I've been on Twitter since April 2011.
Yeah, that's a lot. 35. Now, I don't know if that counts like retweets and all that kind of stuff.
Were you ever a guy that had to live tweet games?
Yeah, I'd be a live tweeter.
Like, don't me to the box for interference.
Yeah, I'd be a live tweeter, and and that's the guys the next day, like Owen Noodles, would be like, dude, stop doing that. Like, no one knows. You just tweet out, that's a penalty or should have been a penalty, and if no one's watching or
how
they're not watching.
How does that go uncalled?
Yeah, I used to be a live tweeter. Back when the Leafs were really bad, it was actually a lot of fun because I'd kind of just goof on the Leafs a lot of times. Like, when they were awful, in 2011, 2012, and you'd just be like, what the hell's going on? You'd be watching a game thinking, this is brutal. But, yeah, I gotta figure that out. Maybe I'll start ramping things up again in the fall.
Dude, if you just randomly become an in-game tweeter.
Yeah, start live tweeting again.
Yeah.
I might look into that. Might start doing that for the Jays. Jays Yankees tonight. Dave Sims is coming up, Yankees radio broadcaster, host of Hey Now. He's coming up here in a moment. And like Aaron Boone, he's a pretty positive guy, and he takes a lot of heat in New York because of that, which is pretty interesting because Yankee fans pretty jaded, and like, it's a massive fan base. It's like the Leaf fan base. I'm sure there's the uber positive Yankee fan over the uber negative, and then there's a lot
everybody
of
on the roster is like picked apart, just like they are with the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. You either love them or hate them, and Volpe's in the forefront of everything, and he's going to hit 9th tonight, I guess. But Boone said, a couple of mistakes, and all of a sudden the narrative's so negative around him.
He's had a tough year.
He's had a terrible year. And Yankee fans, if you track Twitter on Volpe, it is scorched earth how people down in New York are responding to him. But, it sounds as if Boone, even after they lose, goes, hey, we're still the best team. We're the best team. And that's generally the mantra of most managers, though, in baseball, is like, it's a long grind. You can't be on these guys all the time. You got to allow them to get away, win, lose, or draw. You just let them go, show up the next day, and it's all good. And Boone's been there for a long time.
Yeah, dude, and it's not like you can just up the intensity level. It's not like football or hockey where you go out there and it's like, guys, more aggressive, just more intense, work harder. You're either seeing it or you're not.
Yes.
If you're a pitcher, if you're a hitter. And I think that's why you can only get on guys to a certain degree. Like, guys are just going through stretches, and they got to figure out their swing, or they got to figure out their arm, and they got to see it. They got to have confidence.
Well, and it's amazing. Like, John Schneider's post games, like, he's got his kids up there, and it's all that was a great hit. Oh, it was unbelievable, Gosman. Man, I love what I see out of Hoffman. Like, cannot wait to get up to the podium. Or this time last year, he was probably crawling. Like, I can't believe I got to go back up, and this is going to get ugly. That's baseball, man. And a guy that's obviously been calling games for a long, long time, and now he's the voice of the Yankees for the radio broadcast, host of Hey Now. Here's Dave Sims joining us here on OverDrive ahead of Game 2 of the series tonight. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well, boys. How you doing?
We're doing pretty well. We were just talking about Aaron Boone, and his general disposition seems to be very positive and positive reinforcements. And do you sense that being around Boone? And do you think that by the time you get to Game 162 with the Yankees, those positive reinforcements from the manager will eventually pay off?
Well, you can't go around nuking everybody. So I mean, the game doesn't lend itself to that. It's the more I do this, the more I talk to people, the more you can't help but say, hey, man, this is a very difficult game. I heard you boys talking about how, in other sports in football, hockey, where you can get more physical, and then you can help turn the tide. That's not how this plays. And this is such a difficult game. It's a mind game. You got to get an adjustment, make adjustments all the time, sometimes from pitch to pitch. And, sometimes it's tough. You're going to have a run of success, but it's difficult to sustain over 162. That's why you don't see anybody going 162. You know what I mean? So it's a hell of a game, and to get through, I admire guys who can play 150, 160 games a year. Hell, even 120 games. It's a lot, and it can really take a toll. But boy, when it's good, it's good. What can I say?
Yeah.
Dave, in your market, how much do you guys talk about the Yankees' lack of success against the AL East this season?
Well, I tell you what, having done talk radio myself, WFAN, WNBC, we don't obsess on it. It is what it is. And again, and I think at this stage of my career, when I look at it, I almost take it like a player. I mean, you lose a game, you mourn for an hour, and then go get something to eat and get up and get ready to prepare for the next day. They know what's going on. They see the numbers, and they know they have to do better. Particularly, I think the biggest thing, if you're going to lean on something and people are concerned about it, the defense has not been very good on the left side of the infield. That's been the biggest thing. And then getting pitchers to be able to get into the 6th, 7th inning, that type of stuff. Those are the big issues.
With Dave Sims, the voice of the Yankees, Jays tonight. When you look at, last night, the Jays, Gosman, later in the game, the bullpen, they were challenging Aaron Judge. And, we were having the discussion prior to the game yesterday, and it happens every time the Jays play the Yankees. How do you approach them? How conservative are you going to be? Are you going to challenge them? And obviously it comes down to circumstance and, context within the game. But, you've been calling him this year, obviously, and he's just having an all-world, Hall of Fame season. What's it like calling his games, calling his at-bats? And when you consider, the way the game played out last night and the significance of this series, I'm sure you expect him to bounce back tonight.
Well, he's done that all season. I mean, that's who he is. He's that kind of guy. And, calling his at-bats has been great. I mean, the anticipation's always huge. And the guy is having a legendary kind of season and a legendary kind of career. That's very, very exciting, no question about it. But, he's hitting 413 at one point. It might have been as high as 420. He's down at 350 something. He's down to 350. Are you kidding me? He still leads in about 10 categories. So, right. I mean, he's a pleasure to watch, and he's the focal point, the fulcrum, of this ball club offensively.
Dave, all we're talking about in Toronto is the trade deadline. How aggressive do you think Brian Cashman will end up being on the Yankees side of things?
I got one word for you, very. I think that, you got to shore up third base for sure. I know Eugenio Suarez in my days in Seattle. He brings an unbelievably positive attitude. He's having a great year swinging the bat, 36 home runs. Cal's the only one. Cal Rowley's the only guy ahead of him. The Mariners are dying to get him back. The Yankees would love to have him back. Say what you will, I hear various things about his fielding. I remember 2 years ahead of him in Seattle. I thought he was a good third baseman. It may not have been, Mike Schmidt or something like that in terms of, glove work, that type of stuff. But I tell you what, he's going to catch most balls. He's going to get to him. He can start a double play. And he can freaking hit. And to have a guy like that in your lineup, is very attractive to a whole bunch of teams. And he's a good dude, too.
Dave Sims, voice of the Yankees. So, you've obviously called a number of games against the Jays this year, and the Jays have now beaten the Yankees 5 times in the last 2 weeks. It's caught a lot of us by surprise, considering the way they played last year, their win total last year. But seeing the Jays up close and personal, how serious do you believe they are in terms of World Series contention?
Well, we still got 60-something games to go. I mean, I know that the world of sports talk radio is trying to project and guess what's going to happen to predict. They got a really nice ball club. They do all the little things. I really admire the way they play. They hustle all the time. They run the bases. They'll get a bunt down. They'll move a guy over when they have to. They do all those little things. You got George Springer having a good year. Bichette bounced back, and Vladdy hadn't even really got going yet. So a lot of, I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Scherzer has done a very good job. Things have worked out. The kids they brought up from Buffalo have fit right in. They got a good leadership group there with George and Bo and Vladdy up top, Bassett in the pitching department, and with Max. I mean, it's a good ball club, and it's pesky, plucky, whatever you want to call it. They win, and they're on a heater right now, and they're considerable opponent, to say the least.
Well, and you mentioned Scherzer, and he's going tonight, and he's had the elbow and finger issues this year, and he hasn't pitched a lot, but he's still Max Scherzer, and he's got this aura to him. And this feels like just a massive night for him, considering his history and who he is, and also who he's going up against. Young kid named Cam Schlittler. We're not that familiar with him.
Say it slowly.
Yeah, believe me, at 4 o'clock, Dave, I said it. I said it as slowly as you could. I said, I'm going to mistake this by 7 p.m. How do you handle that? You got to call his game tonight. Like, how slow can you say his name?
Here's a 2-2 from Cam.
Yeah, that's got to be your play tonight. But that's a pretty big discrepancy in terms of resumes, right? Scherzer and Cam this evening.
That's the beauty of baseball. I mean, Max is a sure lock, first ballot Hall of Famer. I'd like to strangle a person that doesn't vote for him in the first ballot. I mean, his credentials are outstanding. Was number 2 in active strikeouts. He's tied for 17th all time in wins. He's up there in strikeouts. I mean, and he's just the uber competitor. I love his fire. I've always enjoyed watching him over the years. As for Cam, big kid, got a lot of ability, good fastball, the composure. You're going to see a guy who's not freaked out by the situation that he's in tonight, particularly with the crowd that's going to be, 43,000 people, a lot on the line. Mm-hmm. Yankees need a win. They have beaten these guys in the last 5 tries. So I think he's up to the challenge. The manager and the team is, this isn't a rah-rah speech, but, he's got the goods. He's the real deal. So get an opportunity. He's proven himself in the minor leagues, and let's rock and roll.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one tonight, man. You mentioned it. The park will be packed. A lot of Yankee fans. There were some Yankee fans there last night.
Always. We had a whole bunch in Atlanta over the weekend.
Yeah,
Always.
They travel well, man. They really. And the thing is, there's a lot of Yankee fans who are from Toronto that live here that have just always been Yankee fans. Those are the most disappointing ones, I got to be honest. But it'll be.
If you grow up, if it's a generational thing, too. I mean, I grew up in Philly. I didn't grow up a Yankee fan, but I certainly admire, obviously I work for the Yankees now. I'm all aboard. But, you have multiple tours here, as you know, here at the ballpark. And I ran past a couple, and they said hello, and they said they were from Idaho. And they were
right.
Yankee fans. So, I mean, it is what it is.
They travel, and they'll be traveling tonight. It'll be a fun match, fun game this evening. Have a great call, Dave. Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, you bet, man. Take care. Be good.
There's Dave Sims, radio voice of the Yankees for, I believe, WFAN in New York. And, yeah, they travel. There's a lot of Yankee fans out there.
So you said Volpe is like the scorched earth guy. Wasn't there – who was it last year for the Yankees? Is it Gallo?
Yeah, yes, Gallo, and eventually they got rid of him.
Right. It feels like every year there's a guy
there's always
who's just
somebody.
the whipping boy
DJ
there.
LeMahieu
Couldn't do anything right.
Yes. There's always somebody, and it's Volpe now, who's still very young, but he has not played well. And Dave just mentioned it, like the left side of the infield is an issue in terms of fundamentals. We saw the throwing error last night. Like, basically, he's saying, as like he mentioned, working for the Yankees, they have to find a third baseman. Like, that is what they're going to do between now and the trade deadline. And also, perspective, a lot of people in New York, kind of like Michael Kay, same thing. Well, there's a lot of games left. Like you can sense there's some uncertainty with the Jays, And I get that if you're outside of the market because they got to earn that reputation. Like last year, it was a down year. They haven't won a playoff game in 10 years or almost 9 years. Yeah. The Yankees are pretty emboldened. The Yankees feel pretty good about themselves. They were just in the World Series last year. So I think the Yankees are still looking at this thinking they have a very good shot at winning the division and still being a very competitive team. And the Jays, it's July. You still got to prove more. But that should inspire you to go out again tonight and just find a way to beat these guys.
And in the longer run, like to do something of some kind of significance with a purpose at the trade deadline. Because you have a year where you're starting to build a little bit of a gap between yourself and the Yankees and the Red Sox. And those teams always think they're the teams every year. It's like, oh, it's our year because we're the Yankees, because we're the Sox. It's like you have one now. You got to try and capitalize on that. You don't know how many of these come around. It could be 10 years until you get another year where you have a 4 or 5 game up lead on the Yankees.
Big time.
Yeah, the vibes are good. And you hear him talk about going out in Suarez. You wonder, like, the arms race in the division, like what that ends up looking like. How big do the Yankees go? Because, like, you always think of the Yankees, they're going to make a big move or 2 or 3. And how much pressure does that put on the Jays to, I don't know, match? It's almost like it's not the same thing, but it's like we talk about the Leafs and the Panthers every trade deadline. It's like, well, Florida's going to do this. Mm-hmm. You kind of got to match a little bit, like or at least
Yankees
feel
are the
pressure to match.
Yeah,
Yankees
are the pace car, but fundamentally they have some issues outside of Judge. They don't have a lineup that scares you.
Not at all.
Like Stanton is healthy-ish and hitting, and
was awesome last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's a playoff performer, big time. But it's not a lot. Chaz Chisholm is not a guy that's going to terrify you.
No, he was better before he got there.
Yeah, well, and listen, he was an all-star or whatever, but like he's not. Like, that's the guy coming up after Judge.
Bellinger.
You feel okay with that? Yeah.
But they could probably look at the Jays lineup.
I hear you.
Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, I get you. After Vladdy, like everyone else, got to keep proving it. Springer's got to keep proving it. Bichette got to keep proving it. But the Jays, they have way more consistency up and down the lineup.
Sure.
Like way more contributions and way more depth that at least is producing right now. Will it stay that way? We'll find out. 62 games left to be played. All right, Steve White's coming up with NFL Network a little bit later this hour. Our best bet still to come as well, powered by FanDuel. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, best bets later in the hour. Steve White's coming up from the NFL Network. Camps opening up throughout the NFL. A couple of big names holding out. Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year, and the Bengals defense was not great even with him. He's got home. He's in Florida. He's like, call me when you're ready to negotiate. Bengals, who knows what they're going to do there. Terry McLaurin, I guess he didn't arrive down in Washington. That's a big year for them. Jaden Daniels, I mean, the playoffs last year, great story. What happens with them into the future? And then Micah Parsons, who's looking for a new deal down in Dallas. He did report. And Jerry Jones, had some interesting comments about not only his contract, but Dak's contract, a couple of other players who he paid, who got injured, and he was talking kind of off the cuff.
Who he paid, remember, who he paid.
Right.
Like Jerry he's the guy. He's the judge and jury, and then what he does is he'll go out and talk about stuff, and then eventually, like, I don't know if you agree with this or not, he eventually capitulates and gives them money.
Yes, at some point he's going to pay.
Money.
Yeah, Dak's the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yeah, like he can bitch about it all he wants, but eventually he just caves in and he gives them the money.
And Parsons, I think, knows that too. And like, you need him. Like, you need Parsons on your defense, man. Chasing quarterbacks around, causing disruption. And after the comments by Jones about contracts and players possibly getting hurt and whether or not they're going to fulfill their contract, here's what Micah Parsons had to say in response earlier today.
Have you had a conversation with him after yesterday's presser?
No, but I'm gonna talk to him. I just thought, as a whole, like, everyone's situation is differently. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I'm here for my teammates. I'm not here to please another grown man. I'm here for them. I want to be here with Trey, watch him rehab, watch him get on the field, watch his growth. I want to be here battling with Terrence Steele. Like, I'm here for these guys. I'm not here for him. So I think, at the end of the day, he's on the field with us. We're on the field playing the games and things like that. So I'm gonna just control my teammates, keep boosting it, and we're just gonna keep playing together.
All right. Team first guy.
Did they also ding Diggs $500,000 for training with someone else? I thought I saw that as well. And he's like, I'll just try and make it up with like performance incentives or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not see that story.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be surprising, and that's why I think he's speaking about practicing with them and helping contribute to the team and the morale around camp. And I got an appreciation for that, like the fact that he showed up. A lot of non-quarterbacks don't show up.
Dude, what do you think the agent would be telling you? Don't show up.
Generally, don't put yourself in a position to get hurt or anything like that. That's why T.J. Watt, that was the belief. Like, I can't show up until you pay me. And now that Watt has been paid, again, Parsons is looking at that, and it's kind of the bar is set. Like, that's where it's going. And Jerry Jones knows it, and Parsons knows it, and the agent knows it.
The same thing that happened with all the quarterbacks that were up the last couple of years. They all got more money than the next guy and more guaranteed, and then this is just a different position now.
Ultimately, if you wait, you're going to just pay more. Like, yes, there are some exceptions. There are guys who don't perform well or that get injured or whatever, and it obviously, in a scenario like that, maybe you save yourself some money. But more often than not, especially with elite athletes, like the guys we're talking about here, like, they're going to perform and they're going to get the money. And if you don't give them the money, they'll go somewhere else and they're going to get the money.
Well, especially a guy
the
like
money
that.
is going to be there for them.
A guy like
he's
that,
coming out of a rookie contract.
100%.
He's in his prime.
And we say this with quarterbacks all the time. And I think even Dak would have fallen into this category where, like, we know Dak's shortcomings, especially come playoff time. But there are teams that are so desperate for quarterbacks, and you either have one or you don't. And teams would have said, we got it for you. Mm-hmm. Just, we'll find a way to make it work, because whoever we have doesn't give us a hope and prayer. At least Dak would do that for you. Micah Parsons is one of the best at his position, maybe the best at his position in the league. Yeah. So the money's there for him.
How do you guys think the players think of Jerry? Like, those are really measured, I thought, like an impressive way to handle it, because I wonder if they just think of him like kind of like their crazy like uncle, and they're just like, yeah, he's gonna say what he's gonna say, and like, who really cares? You know what I mean? Like,
what's kind of amazing about it is, like, that attitude and approach would make sense if he was the owner of the Titans or something. Some like the Jaguars, and you're like, it's just a circus around here, and the team stinks, and no one really cares about us, and we got crazy Uncle Jerry Jones up there. They're the Cowboys. They're the most valuable franchise on earth. They're the most popular team in the league by a pretty substantial margin. They play 5-6 primetime games every single year. It doesn't matter how good or bad they are. And yet they still have Jerry Jones as the guy who's running the whole operation.
It's a little like the way it was with Steinbrenner with the Yankees, except the Yankees were really good.
Yeah, for the most part they were. But there was a time prior to them really getting good in the late 90s where there was pressure on him to figure it out.
And I guess he did talk, from what I remember, like not like Jerry did, but he was out there and like you would hear from him. And
yeah,
but
yeah, it's very Steinbrenner-like.
Jerry Buss kind of.
Some coaches and GMs, you know it, like it's part of their game plan. They want to go out there, be a distraction. You know, don't pay attention to what's happening
like
with
Jim Rutherford. Like he talks probably too much, but it doesn't feel Jerry-ish. You know what I mean?
No,
like
but Jerry does it so much that it's not like any kind of game plan or anything to distract from what's happening on the field. It's literally just Jerry's available to the radio station. He's doing a hit. The TV, he's there. Jerry's like, he's kind of holding court with a million cameras around him all the time and microphones. He's very accessible.
Yeah, he wants
and
the
available.
attention.
Oh, he talks after every single game.
Yeah.
And he'll take the elevator down and you'll see reports like just speaking with Jerry in the elevator on the way down to the locker room. You're like, what is this guy? Does he not have security? Does he not have his own elevator? The difference between him and like a Jim Rutherford is there's no checks and balances on Jerry. Like if Rutherford says something out of line, the Aquilinis can step in and say, don't ever do that again, or go out there and redact the statement or go out and try to redirect where everything's going. No one can do that or say that.
You don't think Jerry the owner comes down on Jerry the GM?
I don't know. You look in the mirror and say, bad Jerry.
Later
bad Jerry.
Jerry's sitting around at Nobu having a little sushi. He's like, I probably
bad
shouldn't have
Jerry,
said that
man.
today. I would love to know how many times Jerry has said to himself, like, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Probably every day.
I probably shouldn't have gone there.
It's funny. I don't know if it's ever happened. Like, I look at it the opposite way.
Like, he doesn't ever think he did anything wrong?
I don't know if there's a filter. I don't know if there's any. Like, I think he feels like he's on top of things and everything's all good and it's a well-oiled machine and you're wrong, not me.
Get your damn act together.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that this guy has such a massive ego that's just the idea of him reviewing his own commentary. I'm not sure it happens. That doesn't mean he's going back saying, man, I was so right. I think it comes and goes, and he does his thing, and then he moves off to the next thing, and that's the way he operates.
There's something to be said, though, for operating that way. You can't really build or take care of a massive empire if you don't have a pretty big ego and operate that way.
And it's as big as it gets.
You kind of sit there and second guess things and hum and haw about things. You don't get to build an empire. I'm sorry.
Ballot?
You got to be pretty sure about yourself.
And listen, they were America's team prior to him buying them, but he's had them for 35 years. And they had immediate success when he got there. You know, they've had ups and downs over the last 30 years or so. But the Jerry Jones show, like, it's not going to stop.
And
like,
I don't want it to stop.
It's not going anywhere.
It's great for us.
I find it very entertaining.
Great content, and I love when something happens. I think about all our friends that are Cowboys fans, and I just wonder, like, are they just sitting around waiting for the next thing to happen? And what do they think about this?
Well, and here's another
one?
guy. Like, you got Parsons coming up now. He's looking for a new deal. Jones is going to speak about it almost every single day. Here's the NFL Network's chief national reporter, Steve Weich, back on OverDrive. Steve, how do you respond to, you know, the kind of daily or every other day commentary from Jerry Jones and the way he just runs the whole operation in Dallas?
Well, I mean, look, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
Like any coach who comes in there knows that, hey, Jerry's coming into the locker room post-game and speaking. You know, this is his annual training camp opening news conference, you know, and for him to say the things that he did about Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott, like, yeah, you know, we've got to protect ourselves. Hey, well, we're not getting return on our investment if we're paying Dak Prescott all this money and he gets hurt and doesn't play. Well, injuries happen. That's part of it. You know, and Micah Parsons, well, if we give him this contract, who's to say he's going to play every game and trade him, right? If you're not willing to invest, and Jerry Jones has made a lot of money through investments, if you're not willing to invest in potential risk, but even greater reward, then what are you doing? I mean, that's my question. If you're taking that approach by saying, hey, we had a guy last year who is up for a contract who didn't play in half the games because he was hurt. Well, he doesn't have an extensive injury history, right? He's not one of these guys who's always hurt. And when he's on the field, he's an impactful player.
So what's it going to be? And if you're going to worry about the con instead of the pro, then trade the guy. You know, it was a very odd comparison point to make. You may think it, but to say it out loud the way he did was just really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
reckless,
just,
man. Reckless. Reckless commentary.
The way he's run this team, though.
But that's the thing. He's the owner. No, there's no checks and balances. There's no. It's not like if a GM said that, then he had to go to Jerry Jones's office, and Jones said, "What the hell are you doing? Go back and figure that out." No one's doing that.
Well, and here's the other thing. Dak Prescott might not be the highest paid quarterback if for not Jerry waiting for other quarterbacks to set the market. Micah Parsons might not be the next guy due a significant amount of money if for not Jerry Jones waiting for T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett to reset the market. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at some of these teams that have sustained success. They coach, they develop, and they get out ahead of the contract extensions before the market tops out, and then you have to pay with the cherry on top extra.
Do you find that over the years, like Jerry has, said certain things and maybe taken a hard stance, and then when push came to shove, it's like he kind of gave in or gave guys what they wanted? And if so, do you think players kind of know that? Like Jerry's going to have a certain persona in the media, but really behind the scenes, it's like, Jerry's going to work with us and he's going to be fair, and eventually we'll kind of get where we need to go.
If you were the agent for Micah Parsons, wouldn't you look at Ezekiel Elliott? Wouldn't you look at Dak Prescott? Wouldn't you look at Trayvon Diggs? Wouldn't you look at all these contracts where that's the exact thing that happened and not think, okay, hey, let's just be quiet. Let's be the good professional. And at some point, Jerry's going to pay us more than he's paying anybody else at your position. The track record says so.
Yeah. And I guess, is that maybe why Parsons decided to report to camp? Are you surprised at all that he's actually there in Dallas?
Well, I'm not going to, guess that. I don't know. Maybe that goes into the thinking, but maybe he's just one of these guys like, hey, I'm under contract. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be a good soldier. I'm not going to give them any reason not to pay me. But at some point, he can always step away. He can face the fines.
Yep.
We'll see if he actually does a lot of the participation in practice. I know they said he's going to do some individual drills and some things like that, but he refuses to do team drills and things like that. It's not healthy. But we've seen Zeke Elliott and these guys hold out, even into the regular season. We saw Emmitt Smith do it, remember? I mean, this isn't nothing. This is a decades thing, so.
Steve, do you see do you see a bounce back for the Cowboys this year, or do you think it's going to be more of the same from last year?
Well, I mean, I think if Dak Prescott's healthy and plays, they should be better. I think it's Brian Schottenheimer, people I've spoken with who've coached with him, who know him, think this is a good role for him, but he's going to do a pretty good job. Is it a good enough job to get him beyond the Eagles or the Commanders or the Lions or the Vikings or the Rams or the Buccaneers? And that remains to be seen. They still have some holes in certain spots of the defense, but Matt Eberflus is a defensive coordinator. So, they've addressed some things at running back, but we'll see. Can CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens coexist? I mean, there's some talent there. They've addressed some talent on their offensive line. So if they can put it all together, they could be a real competitor. There's some other teams they've got to get through.
With Steve Weich. So Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks last year, and I guess it felt as if him and the Bengals were possibly coming close to some sort of an agreement, but sure enough, it's day one of camp, and Hendrickson's posting Instagram stories of him down in Florida, and he's like, I'm not showing up until I get a new deal. And, they've had an interesting offseason in Cincinnati, signing the wide receivers, giving Chase that kind of money, which was deserved in the end. But their defense was pretty awful last season. And now if Hendrickson's not there, how does this possibly work? Like if you're Joe Burrow and company, if you're the Bengals, how is this going to end positively for both parties?
Well, okay, this is a two-sided coin, because you can say Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in tackles last year and we still didn't make the playoffs, or in sacks last year, but we still didn't make the playoffs. So, if he doesn't come up and put up big numbers, are we any worse for the wear? At the same time, trade him then.
right? Get him out of there. If you're going to take that approach, trade him. If you don't think he's a guy who can put you over the top, it's what Al Davis used to do. Hey, we won 8 games with you. We can win 8 games without you. At the same time, Trey Hendrickson has consistently been good. When he was with the Saints, before he got to the Bengals, he put up big numbers. He's somebody who clearly is well-liked by his teammates. And it also just sends, with what's going on with their rookie on the other defensive end side with the contract, it just sends just a terrible vibe throughout the whole locker room because it lives up to some frugal history that people want to put on them, even though they show that they're certain players. So I think getting a deal, but we'll see what his fiscal stamina is, how long he wants to hold out, how long he wants to do this, because the Bengals are a team that is not afraid to get into a stare down. Think about Carson Palmer all those years ago, where he's just like, you know what, you're not going to get me to, I'm just going to retire. And they're like, okay, we're not going to concede your rights. And they ended up trading him to the Raiders and getting draft picks for him. So it's just how they've operated. And, you can't say they're cheap because they did pay those guys on the offense. I mean, not just Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins.
Because we're located in Toronto, it feels like there's an obligatory Bills question that has to be asked. Sure. And that question is, do you think they did enough on the defensive side of the ball to see improvements defensively this year?
Boy, it's always a tough question because when you look at why they're not getting into the Super Bowl, you don't necessarily look at them. You look at Kansas City. It's one of these things that they're a good, sound football team across the board to where even we ask, do they do enough? They find the answers. Oh, well, last year they didn't have any wide receivers. Didn't seem to bother them. Khalil Shakir showed up. Those tight ends showed up. James Cook showed up. Their defense, for all their holes, it didn't really let them down that much. At times it did, but Josh Allen was good enough. So it's really hard to tell. On paper, you can say you can probably say either way. Like, well, they're not as good as Kansas City, or they're not as good as Baltimore. But so what? I mean, their offense is potentially good enough. It just seems to come down to a play or two in the game against the Chiefs when it matters most. Not going on a 4-game losing streak or something like that because the defense was like in a certain moment the other team makes a play and they don't. And that's been the reason why, more than any gaping flaw in their roster construction or something like that.
I also feel much more comfortable in projecting them winning their division and possibly running away with it than I would the Ravens in the AFC North and possibly even the Chiefs in the West. And I know they've been at the top of that heap for years, but Chargers had a really good first year under Harbaugh. Denver's gotten better. Look what they did last year. I don't know about Vegas, but is that fair to say, Steve, that of the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs, if you were putting money on one that you thought would definitely win their division, would the Bills be at the top of that list?
They better be.
Yeah.
They better be. I mean, you think the Jets are going to come up and win the division? I mean, maybe they'll be better. But, I mean, do you think the Dolphins, with all the losses they've had, it's just one of these things where you look at their division like, yeah, I mean, New England's going to be better. I think they're going to be better, but they're you look at every other division in the AFC, you're like, okay, even though Houston is on paper the favorite to win the South, Jacksonville could be problematic. Tennessee and Indianapolis with AFC West. It's going to be the toughest division in the NFL because the Raiders will be better to go along with Denver and the Chargers to compete against Kansas City. The North is always tough. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the Bills – the Bills, to me, frankly, I mean, it's a bad analogy because every week is tough, but this is a layup line division compared to what the other teams have to go through. So they should win it. They should win their division convincingly.
Absolutely. It's great to have camps back up and running. The NFL, it's almost go time, and we're almost at the Hall of Fame game, and it's a beautiful thing. It's gonna come quick, man. We're gonna be into September before you know it. He is Steve Wyche, NFL Network Chief National Reporter. Great catching up with you, Steve. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me, guys.
There he is, Steve Wyche. And that's it. When you look at the Bills, I have full faith in them winning the division. Outside of an Allen injury, clearly.
Who's even second? Would you take the Pats?
Probably I'd say Miami.
Mike Vrabel. No, you like Miami, really?
Yeah, man, New England is in transition. Like, they've been bad the last couple of years.
Yeah, but like
it all comes down to if Tua's going to be healthy or not. Like, if he's healthy, that offense can contribute. Like, they can cook. They can get to a point where they can keep up. They've been a playoff team. You know, like the Dolphins have been in contention. I have no faith in the New York Jets. I have
nor should you.
Nor should anybody. And the Patriots, I think it's going to take a year.
I just think that's a remember you mentioned the coach of the year thing? That feels like coach
Vrabel's got that opportunity.
Yeah, it was a mess before, and now professional, experienced coach.
Yeah, and does Drake May step in and play?
Yeah,
and play
well. Like he was pretty good last year.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like young, like okay, showed flashes, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I like the Bills though, double-digit wins and clearly winning the division.
Yes,
and I would guess the Chiefs still hold on and win it, but would I be shocked if they had a bit of a stumble and they went 10-7, 11-6, and ended up as a wild card team? I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. If the Chargers passed them, or
we're going to talk about the Chiefs so much more, like as camps go on and preseason goes on, because I think the question is going to be: do they ever just run out of steam? Like, do they ever just have that downfall? But I don't know. It doesn't seem imminent.
No,
based on what they've done.
No, they deserve the benefit of the doubt. Like, they've earned that. They're a great team. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel coming up. Jays, Yankees, game 2 of the series. Scherzer on the mound tonight for the Jays. We'll get to that and more next.
habits lead to late nights, sitting alone. Conversations with a stranger I barely know. Swearing this will be the last.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. We're going big game hunting tonight. Doogie has inspired me to go big game hunting. We hit our parlay last night. Jays winning. They were paying plus money last night, like I said multiple times. That was just begging you to jump on that on FanDuel. I had Alejandro Kirk to record a hit. He had 2 doubles last night. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to record a run. And he obviously had the most significant run, the winning run of the game last night. I love that picture, too. Him flying in the air. Willie Mays Hayes, Major League. I never gave you my list.
Can you give me like a couple more? Like, what's your
favorite sports movies ever?
Movie, Frankie?
Ooh, I don't know. I like Moneyball.
I think that's probably my number one.
Moneyball?
I think. I haven't had a chance. Like Rocky,
dude.
Does Rocky get in there?
Rocky should be. The question is, which Rocky would you choose?
Yeah, that's tough.
Like, the original is such a classic, because it's the build-up and you don't know anything of him.
Happy Gilmore is a sports movie.
Happy Gilmore would be high up on my list.
The new one's coming out this Friday.
Yeah, do you see everyone down there? Like Scotty Scheffler got from Royal Portrush to New York, obviously private bird and all that, but he was down there yesterday doing the whole red carpet thing.
You see the commercial with Shooter and Bryson?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, there's a great commercial. Shooter's in it, and Bryson.
There's so many different people in the golf world that are in it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Waterboy. Waterboy's a good sports movie.
That's not a pantheon, but that's funny. Yeah, it's okay.
I put Happy Gilmore in there.
What about what's the one we were talking about with Kevin Costner?
Oh, Draft Day.
No, you're talking about
that's an insane.
What's the baseball one? The
Field of Dreams.
Field of
Dreams. Also For the
yes.
Love of the Game.
For the Love of the Game is where he's a pitcher for the Tigers, I believe.
Bull Durham.
And Bull Durham. That's not Kevin Costner, though.
A bunch of great football movies, isn't there?
Rocky or Rudy.
Rudy's a class. I love
Remember
Rudy.
the
I got
Titans?
a soft spot for
Remember
Rudy.
Thank you, Doogie. Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans is a really good one.
Rudy's the only problem.
The Replacements.
Rudy's really annoying. Like he's hard to.
You don't like Rudy Rudiger himself?
No.
Sean Astin. He is annoying. He's just very annoying. He's pesky and annoying.
Yeah.
But the ending of Rudy is one of my all-time favorite scenes.
Tearjerker.
It is with Jon Favreau up there like crying in the stands.
Isn't Vince Vaughn in that?
Yeah, Vince Vaughn is in it. Vince Vaughn was a player who gets cut because remember he's got all-American talent, but he's got no work ethic, and the coach comes in and snaps on him because he was picking on Rudiger. He's like, if you had half the heart that Rudiger had, you'd be an All-American. Get the hell out of here. Vince Vaughn is in that.
Rookie of the Year, the one about the pitcher.
Yeah, where he breaks his arm and then Angels in the outfield.
That's a
That'd be
good
right
one.
up your wheelhouse. But those are like really cheesy
those aren't
movies.
classic.
What's the other? We Are Marshall, the football movie.
Yeah,
That's a bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah, that one's okay. The Blind Side is a good movie. I don't know if it's about football. It's more about the story.
Great, but yeah.
Well, because it's fake, or that he's actually suing the family. Yeah, that is, I guess, a little bit of a
rightfully so. I think they all split the money from the movie 5 ways. And it's like,
yes,
movie is about him.
Well, and by all accounts, like it was more about the adoption and whether or not it was a legit adoption, and
it's a little greasy.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
I know we're Canadian, but Miracle's a good movie.
I mean, Slapshot.
Slapshot.
Oh, how do we not say Slapshot?
Slapshot's a great movie. Yeah, Slapshot's a great movie. Would you put a Mighty Ducks movie in the top 5?
Sure, the first one.
First one is definitely better than the other ones
for sure.
Okay,
Mighty Ducks is good.
I'm gonna have to come up with my top 5, man. It's very tough.
Other golf ones. Maybe not.
I can't really think of another really quality golf movie.
What's the one where he keeps hitting the 5-wood into the pond?
Oh, well, what about Caddyshack?
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup. That's Kevin Costner.
Caddyshack.
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 That's a top 5.
It's a comedy, yes.
Just 4 minutes in, we just mentioned Caddyshack.
Yeah, Caddyshack is very high on the list. And that's the equivalent. That's the Slapshot equivalent, right? Like one golf, one hockey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Baseball, I like.
I'm not a Selleck guy.
No, I love Selleck.
Not a huge Tom Selleck guy. I don't know.
You don't like the stash?
That's enough already. It's enough already with the stash. All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Aaron Judge to hit a home run. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to hit a home run. Jays win money line. That paying plus 25-16. Big game hunting.
That's bold.
That's what it is ultimately tonight. We hit a winner last night. We're going to roll it over. Go get a little bit crazy with the ball game this evening. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. The first inning means as much as the ninth. When you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, please play responsibly. 19 plus, physically located in Ontario.
Boys,
I'd have a tough time getting to 5 now that I think about it. Like all these movies, for the most part, I like them all. And I'm sure there's a few that I'm missing.
You mean cutting it down?
Yeah, cutting it down to 5.
Well, that's why it's you should.
Yeah, like Major League is definitely in my 5.
And the sequel?
I mean, now that we've listed the other ones, maybe not.
Can't have a sequel.
I might not have a
ahead
sequel
of all those other good
Yet
ones.
Rocky, like Rocky 4, I think is a classic. Might be my favorite of the Rocky.
What about Creed? Those movies are good.
Creed,
the first one's good.
Yeah, Creed movies are very good. Like, would you put Raging Bull in there?
That's a hard watch.
Hard watch.
Doogie goes Space Jam.
Yeah,
it's just fine. Yeah,
not bad. The original's pretty good, Doogie. You're right. Space Jam's not bad with Jordan and not bad. Bill Murray's in that. Newman.
Big movie, like
pretty big. Yeah,
everyone
very
knows
good.
Space
I haven't
Jam.
seen the new one with LeBron.
No, it did not get.
I will not be seeing that.
Yeah, I really
I have
don't have any interest in
no
that.
attention span for movies anymore.
Really?
Maybe they're
I
not
love
good
movies.
anymore. I
No,
don't
you're right
watch
though. To sit down and
anything.
commit to like a 2-hour movie is like.
Yeah.
What's with you guys?
I don't have it.
Make the commitment. I love watching movies.
Yeah.
I watched The Godfather Part 2 a couple
Had you
weeks
never
ago.
seen that?
No, I have, but like,
Okay.
that's 3.5 hours.
But that's The Godfather.
Yeah,
Talking
see, that's
like
the
new
thing.
movie.
Yeah, but I can watch. I
guess-
just saw F1. Great. That's a good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
You should see that.
Yeah, there's probably some really good racing movies. Days of Thunder, great movie.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely
Does
Enzo Ferrari. There was a Ferrari one at one.
That
Yeah,
one
there
did
was.
not get
Not
good.
good?
reviews.
Ford versus Ferrari.
That's
Is that
the
what
one
it
I'm
was?
What about The
Speaking of,
Color
thank
of
you.
Money? Isn't that with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman? The pool one.
Yeah.
Do you ever see that one? No.
Would you
No.
consider what's the other one with Tom Cruise? Show Me the Money. What was that movie called?
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry
Oh, yeah,
Maguire.
that's
Is that a
top
sports
5.
movie?
Yeah,
but he's an
of course it
agent.
is.
It's not really about the athlete.
Jerry
that's
Maguire's
for
a good
sure.
movie.
Good movie, not a top 5.
For me, it is.
It might be top 5 for me.
All the Right
First
Moves.
movie.
Did you ever see that one with Tom Cruise? It's fine.
Yeah, but is that a sports movie?
Yeah, he's a football player.
Tom Cruise, the football
Yeah,
player.
it's like very
Immediately
early
disbelief.
Tom
I can't. Then I'm sorry, it doesn't work.
I think
for
he's
me.
a linebacker.
Of course he
That's
is.
a little
Just
far.
make him a nose tackle. Tom Cruise is a nose tackle.
Like
5'2". Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff to everyone behind the scenes. Thanks for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. We appreciate that. Radio, TV, podcast, web, and of course up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. Great seeing you guys. Thanks for doing this. Frankie
Thanks,
Corrado,
boys.
Jonas Siegel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.